I believe mic all the way over there when I start the show. Now I got to get the mic right in pocket. Got to get the mic right in pocket. Let's get ready to go. Let's go ahead and get it. We're talking about the dreaded, mythical, invisible, intangible, Bertrand Russell's teapot type of table. Not just playing. Shout out to those of you who understand the Bertrand Russell's teapot reference. Shout out to those of you who understand that. Listen, we're about to talk about this. I'm no fan of this subject, but it's a lot of things going on here with this one. I'm gonna roll the intro real soon, but it's a lot of things going on here with this one. And I'm realizing that the lingo of table, bringing women back to the table, or as BGS was been saying, the women are back at the table. People are there's a certain amount of straw manning going on, but then there's a certain amount of what the hell y'all talking about? So it's a little bit of both. And so I'm going to attempt to tease it out. And try to make it make sense. I'm going to try to make it make sense, because the straw man is that, oh, they're begging women to do this or begging women to do that. And some people are using the term table just to all relationships to some degree is a negotiation, or bare minimum a proposal put on the table that somebody has to accept or not accept, So in that sense, I'm in a relationship. You can say I negotiated, but I mean, I don't feel like I negotiated. I got the exact deal that I would, give or take. Throw in some threesomes or something here and there, but I for the most part, I got what I want. If you understand what I'm saying, one could call that a negotiation. And that's what they talk about when they talk about the table. We're about to get into that. We're about to get into who started all the table talk, and we're going to break some things down, but let's go ahead and get into it. Strap on in. Let's get ready to go. Let's get it.
Peace, folks. This is X from TPOT Media. Open your mind and wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Hit that damn like button as you make your way in the door. Grab a seat, settle in, get ready. It's the Grown Man Hour with your host, my man, Bernard Riley.
Welcome to Machismo TV, the ultimate destination for modern men seeking to upgrade their lifestyle. Subscribe to Machismo TV and Saul T-Balls. We stream daily from 12 midnight to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the best male-centric content. Highlight reels without reviewing or providing any editorial bias to the content. We have done so much, with so little for so long, we are now qualified to do anything, with nothing.
Shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to Machismo TV. I don't have my normal moderators. RM's not going to be here today. So if somebody with a wrench can pick up the slack, and drop a few links in the chat room when appropriate. You could drop Machismo TV's link in the chat room. I greatly appreciate it. But we about to be getting into this thing. I got a number of things on the table, but shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to everybody. D in the building says there was never a table and there never will be a table. There was never a table and there never will be a table. This is the BGS individual claiming that this is the case. We'll get into that. I've never understood the table talk, even though I've heard something that's been, and BGS pointed this out in the video that I'm going to react to. He pointed out that the whole concept of bringing women back to the table been something that's been ringing in this space for a while by Obsidian. He always has said, one of his goals was to bring women to the table to foster a real conversation between black men and black women. He's always said that. I've heard it a million times, but I didn't really listen. But I understood. That was a different premise. See, I'm going to break down the table that Obsidian was talking about, how that was one of his main goals starting out, and the table that BGS is talking about is a different table. And the table, and then there's the relationship conversations that are happening between men and women on panels and this or that, where they asking the goofy question, what do you bring to the table? And then, like somebody pointed out in the chat room, I thought they were the table. Then the woman says, I am the table. And then the man says some bunch of shit. And then the woman says some shit. And it just turned into just a goofy, inorganic conversation about men and women, because I don't think anybody sits down and talks about a table. So it just turns into a goofy, inorganic conversation that you see on panels. But I will break down and talk about what people within the manosphere have been talking about when they refer to a table. So we'll get into that. And Hood Conservative is on his on the Matrix, where the little bald-headed boy was like, the best thing to, I'm going to botch the quote, the best thing to do is know or realize that there is no spoon. He's saying there is no table in the there is no spoon context. Understand that. It's a goofy concept, but I'm gonna try to break it down best I can. Point out the problems with the concept and point out what I think people mean when they're talking about it. I'm gonna try to do that. But shout out to the great Deacon Salty Balls. He says that which has the table hath become a pedestal for the most high and illustrious fools, jesters, and heathens. 40 premise are the legs by which these covens stand upon. And now that it is faltering, they shall stumble. Woo! Got to shout out the Deacon, the poet, philosopher, Deacon Salty Balls. Oh, and I gotta play the
suck on my chocolate salty balls. Put them in your mouth. Put them in your mouth and suck them and suck them.
Shout out. Salute the Deacon Salty Balls. Here's the deal with this. JC the Conqueror says, no shade to BGS, but he made it seem like the Manosphere whole mission was bringing women to the table. He did kind of make it seem like that in that video. I got some other stuff I want to get into before we get all the way deep off into the table talk. I'll try to be quick with the other preliminary topics. I can see this is already buzzing, so I'm gonna dive into it real soon. But I understand that, yeah, he did kind of make it seem like that, because I think when it started out, I think O'Shea, Angry Man, and Obsidian, probably had slightly different motives, but it was enough overlap to where it was enough agreement to where they went with it. But Obsidian, one of the founders, I'll play the tape that BGS played where Obsidian was talking about, and he said it a million when Obsidian used to be on my show regularly. He used to say it all the time. I've heard him say it millions of times, but he would always say that one of his goal is to foster and start and spark a real conversation between black men and black women. All of the conversations between black men and black women were basically black women having the conversation with their parameters, and they would bring in male props and drones to sit there on the couch and co-sign what they're saying, and it was never a real conversation. It was a non-versation, and he did say one thing that he wanted to foster is just simply a real conversation. He wanted the thoughts, views, perspectives of the everyday brother put on the table in all the conversations about the social dynamics between black men and black women. More or less, give or take, paraphrasing, that's more or less what he was saying. And I think that's what Obsidian was defining as the table. What BGS is talking about when it comes to the table, he's talking about out in real life. He's talking about out in real life. And he's not saying that they're trying to bring women back to the table, or we got to get women back to the table, or we got to beg them to come back to the table. I've seen BGS make a lot of very pro passport and SYSBM videos. So he's on. So what I see BGS doing is he's making an argument, and I'm not sure if he substantiated this. I'm all ears. But he's saying that they're already there. He's talking about economic calamity will bring men and women together. In history, that always happens. He's saying that that's a thing. That's a real thing. That was his theory, hypothesis about the success of Kevin Samuels. The pandemic happened. Women were stuck at home. People wasn't working. The she session took place. That's the recession, but women lost a lot of jobs. There was a lot of stuff going on, and they, so he viewed that as this is them taking a step, coming back to the table. The table. That's how he viewed it. That's how he viewed it. That's his theory on how and why Kevin Samuels blew up. Things were going to hell economically in this country, and technically, if you look at the average income, to survive in a lot of places, it takes two incomes. Things like that will ultimately drive men and women back together. Things like that will ultimately drive men and women back together. Now that does lead us to an interesting discussion that we had on, I think, the Saturday show with that was a Saturday show with Hood Conservative, where there were certain socialistic things that always bail black women out. Basically, all the welfare and subsidies, everything that they get. And we was like, well, if you're identifying that problem, well, all this socialistic stuff is what's basically giving them everything they need, to where even no matter how hard they fall, they're not going to need a man, because they're going to be able to fall back on the government they man. So it's like, but he said he wasn't okay with taking that stuff away, because there's some welfare that black men benefit from, and he said, hey, we'll lose all of that. So he's like, well, yeah, we got to keep all of that there on the table. So it's like that's where that's where, if we're trying to even have a serious conversation about some negotiating table, it's like the negotiations are already corrupt. If women can lean on the government or whatever other bailout that's gonna save their ass. So unless you're fully against fully against everything that benefits, incentivizes, and subsidizes women in this modern Western free post-second wave of feminism world, where they can do what they want, when they want, how they want, with who they want, and no matter what the outcomes is, there's some type of bailout. even if it's the simp, even if it's the simp, the stepdaddy simp bailout plan, the bailout is coming. So in that sense, that's why a lot of people are saying that there's no legitimate table negotiation that could even legitimately happen if we accept the premise. That's what's going on there. Now, I understand the idea, and a lot of people on the conservative side understand the idea of economic calamity. Not necessarily economic calamity, but they understand the economics of it. Men and women coming together because they need each other. I think if you leaning more on the conservative side, you understand that, and that's part of the reason. Part of the reason everything in the world is flipped upside down is because women are subsidized and incentivized to do other things. You get rid of all that stuff, then things won't be so upside down or whatever. But until it's a real conversation about men actually being against all of that consistently across the board, then I don't think a real discussion about tables can take place. But I'm going to get deep into that. I went too long on my early ramble. I gave y'all too much too early because I had other shit I wanted to get into. Let me get into my other shit real quick. I'm going to try to run through this quick as possible because I can already tell that y'all are on this one. But Twitter finally did the right thing. Twitter did the right thing. They got they suspended Mariah Mills' account. She is trying to extort a man. She's threatening. She's going on Twitter with 1.2 million followers, threatening to put out a sex tape. She's trying to extort. She's adding the NBA, saying, "I'm going to put out this sex tape, or y'all get, one of y'all employees." She's doing the whole. Twitter finally did the right thing. And we're not pro censorship over here. We're pro freedom of speech. Fist in the air, freedom of speech. No. Cancel this bitch. Flat out. I had to give a round of applause for Twitter, but even though Zion Williams is still king of the Simps right now, king of the Simpsons. He's the king of the Simpsons, but hey, he needed that win. He needed that win. we had to root for him on that one. They should have been canceled their shit. I am pro. There are some situations where I am certainly pro censorship. God damn it. Certainly pro censorship. But all right. Let's get into this thing. I took some time on this one. And so I got to touch on it. This was going to be the main topic, but I decided I'm going to talk a little manosphere politics for, but the crazy shit that's going on, like Russell Simmons, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about it because he just had the Father's Day from hell. Russell Simmons just had the Father's Day from hell, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention it before I get all the way into the main topic. I got to talk about this. Now, the timeline here is that Russell Simmons divorced in 2009. Okay, divorce settlement, $40K a month, $20K, each child until they're 19. That was the divorce settlement. But y'all see that pic? You notice what's the very peculiar thing about the picture that y'all are looking at right now? Y'all seeing Russell Simmons right there with her kids, and then there's a darker baby boy that she's holding that look like the darker nigga standing to the left of her. He owns some we one big happy family, After the divorce, And this is why I think they're lying on this man, because they saying he basically crazy. He be emotionally abusing, manipulating everybody. He's a lunatic. He doing all kind of crazy stuff. Like they outed him on Father's Day. The reason I think they're lying on this man, because it says after the divorce, Russell supported Kimura in her new relationship, becoming the godfather to her new child by another man, Jaimin Hanzu, the dude from Amistad. Give us free. Dude straight up became the godfather of the new child. Supporting, full support, one big happy family. Yes, that's what's going on. That's what y'all are seeing in that picture there. That's what y'all are seeing. All right. That you know, just let that one sink in. Let that one sink in. All right. This is a billionaire. All right. Now, she married another man. All right. She married another man. Russell Simmons, he began doing business with her and her new husband. All right. Because I'm not talking about give us free. I'm not talking about Amistad. I'm not talking about Jaimin Hansu. No. She married this white dude. Now, Russell Simmons, the simping or whatever we're going to call it. Okay, he's not a billionaire. I always thought he was one, but he's not a billionaire. My bad. Thanks for the correction on that one. I always assumed he was. Thanks for the correction. He's not a billionaire. Now, post-divorce, he's still entangled in doing business. So like she stayed a part of the business. Somebody asking how old she is. She's 48 years old, but they got together when he was 33 and she was 16. You know. We about to get into that, Emin Perry, and I think that's what this is all about. He lost that 250 mil. We about to get into that. But she married this white dude after her and Russell Simmons broke up, and he supported her. He was goddaddy of the new child by the new man, and then now he's still entangled with her with their businesses, and there's a new white dude on the scene, and then and now the new white dude is entangled in their businesses. Just a whole goddamn mess where he can't just cut the tree at the root, just leave a stump there and just be gone. He can't do it. She still got controlling interest in all kind of shit, you know. Like y'all was supposed to just have a nasty divorce and divvy up y'all halves of it or sell and go your separate ways. But no, they tried to keep everything intact. They still tried to work together, and now she's bringing in new men who's trying to manage aspects of the business as well, because she was talking in the videos like she was actually running the business and all of that. So her new man came in running the business, and that's where apparently shit went more awry. That's apparently where shit went more awry. Kimura's husband gets charged with money laundering, and Russell Simmons sues him because he alleges they were stealing from the company that they share together. Still sharing a company with your ex-wife. She got a new white dude who's got money laundering charges. There it is. So he's suing. All right. Russell Simmons is suing his ex-wife's new husband for taking money from his company. All right. It's some messy details that's hard to explain, but I'll just make it quick because I want to get back to the main topic. Long story short, he's light 250 million. He's light 250 million. It was a whole public shitstorm about it. And then one of his daughters, after it was a whole public shitstorm, you could imagine it was ridiculous back and forth and the whole works. One of his daughters posted this. This was on Father's Day. Now, y'all can't see it, but in the lower part of this picture, it says Happy Father's Day. This is one of his daughters posted a picture of her mom for Happy Father's Day. Russell Simmons, in very manospherian fashion, posted this. Stop telling fathers they should have fought harder to see their children and start asking mothers why they had to fight at all. Mic drop on that one. It's goofy as hell that families be having public conversations with memes, public family feuds with memes on Twitter. That's the world we live in now. So that's what's going on. Now, Russell Simmons dropped that one. All right. And then that's when they went ape shit on him. They start going in. They start trying to charge him up with all kind of shit. They talking about they got receipts. They showed their receipts. I was kind of unimpressed with their receipts, but they're basically trying to say that he's some abusive, manipulative monster who's like trying to emotionally abuse, those words they use, emotionally abuse, intimidate. They doing all kind of stuff. One of his daughters, one of his daughters went online, dropped this video here.
He sent her in the middle of the night to like take her some papers to like sign away her inheritance or whatever. And then she was like, should I be signing this? And I was like, what? He like sends people to threaten her. And you know Ming is a calm person. No, please stop with the bullshit about I hope you find peace and privacy and this is venting. I have been dealing with this my whole life. This is not new. It's not new drama. I already live in the drama, so now I'm just sharing. This is not... There's no therapy you can go to with someone who weaponizes the fact that you don't want to go public, right? Because when he posts something and then I don't respond, because I'm like, I don't want to have drama. And so he's been weaponizing that we don't want to... have drama. I'm not, I care about my family. I don't like to have this out there. But he uses that against you. Well, what are you going to do about it? You're not going to say something. So now I'm saying something. And if you're going to say one more thing about, you should be in private in therapy, get off, please. Because I'm telling you, he uses that against me, and I'm not going to have it. And my sister and my mother, and I'm not going to have it. And he's going to spin the whole narrative about, your mom turned you against me. I am very independent-minded. You can ask my mom. She has an issue with me every day since I was 4. I want to cut my hair. I want to move out. I want to do this. And she's like,
No. That's what she went online crying, putting that out there. All right. Now, moreover, they posted this video. This video has no sound. They posted this video to try to basically say, okay, he's a crazy, irate lunatic. Look at him. Look how he's yelling. They posted it with no sound. You can't hear what he's saying. You can see her up there in the upper right-hand corner. They going back and forth. They arguing, but you just want to post him talking with his veins popping out. And so he looks crazy, but they don't got sound. What was he saying? So that's what they're doing. So it's like they're saying things. They're saying they got receipts of things. And this is what this is the shit that they posted. This was all like on Father's Day. She's saying, I'm going on live. Come join me to play the tape of you calling my mother a piece of shit. But if her and her new husband, far as he's concerned, is still in the money and got him, there's going to be some stuff in here that's going to imply that this man is now broke over some shit that got twisted up in the company. So yeah, he calling the mother a piece of shit. He cussing everybody out. And the mom, and it's been ongoing for a while, and over time, it's like the daughters is like, fuck him. They asking him for money, and he telling them no. He's like, no, I done got fucked over out of so much money. No, don't ask me for nothing. Y'all grown, and y'all grown, and my finances all messed up. Stop asking me for stuff. So it seems like when that lawsuit happened, his money got fucked up, and now they asking him for stuff, and he can't really hand it over or give it to him. And it's like, no, so it's like you're not the big wallet no more. So no, so fuck you. But anyway, this is I'm going live. Come join me to play that tape of you calling my mother a piece of shit. How dare you? He says, okay, good. You know, he's being nonchalant. You know, she says, I'll send you a request. You are welcome to be a part of it. I have tried so hard, and look at you. I am your child. Yeah, that's what she's trying to say. I'm your child and a sick man. You deserve everything that has happened to you. And then he's sitting there saying, I'm waiting. Goes on to say, you just put us all in. Just why? I'm out here praying for you, hoping everything goes well, and you call my mother a piece of shit. And now he responded saying, neutral my ass. I don't even appear in your media, and your mother has stolen my money. This is where the all start of it is. Your mother has stolen my money and the love of my kids as she promised. She actually is. I think he's saying she actually is a piece of shit. And she kind of blocked something out. It's like they're suspiciously blocking things out that they're saying. Says you will never, something is blocked out again. You will never blank again. I don't know what that means. She's saying I'll never speak to you until you die. Don't ever say that again. She did not steal it. You lost it. So he believes that her and her husband stole his money, finagled something with the company, stole his money. And the daughters are convinced, no, it wasn't stolen. You just lost it. And he's confirming, yep, she is a piece of shit. And then she said, understand, you lost it with your actions. So this is a daughter who don't even know about the inner workings of the business, but just taking the mama's side saying, nope, you lost the money. She didn't steal it. So that's why he like, fuck all y'all and don't call me, don't ask me for nothing. And you know, that's what it's on. I'm out here praying for you, hoping everything is well. Okay, wait, hold on. That's just a repeat. She blocked something else out in here. She said, but she typed in the part where she blocked out. She says, I do my best. I did not side with anyone over any legal business. He's been directly harmful to me. He tries to get at my mom by hurting us since I was 16, 17. He literally forced me into needing therapy, but sorry, he doesn't have $100 a month to pay for a session. So she's complaining that he don't be having money to give to her. But you notice they're accusing him of things. They're saying things. However, and I'm sorry, that's so small, y'all can't see it. Y'all just got to take my word. I do apologize for that. But y'all going to notice that they're accusing him of things, but they're not proving it. They're just typing it, but it's not being, like, there's no evidence of him saying or doing the things. I'm not saying that he didn't do some bad stuff. All I'm saying is in the receipts that they're producing, you can see it's all like everything that's in that little lime green, teal color or whatever color that is. That's all them talking. That's all her talking. That's all her going off, typing, talking about what he did. But none of it is him saying anything all obstructive or abusive. She's just saying a bunch of shit, and he like, okay. But she says, happy Father's Day. It was nice. You were here last year for it, but have a great day, Dad. I love you. I hope it's the right day in Bali, or wherever he at. I think he fled the country on some, well, that's a whole nother story. I don't even know about that. But he says, I love you. And then this is some other message, some other time. Dad, I stopped talking to you because you were giving me panic attacks to the point I was placed on emergency medication every time we spoke. I cannot have a relationship with you until you stop. No one stops me from talking to you. My health does. She's saying her health is what's stopping her from talking to him. I guess he's had the complaint that you don't talk to me no more. She's saying my health stops me from talking to you. I have panic attacks when I talk to you. But again, she's saying things It's no, they out of all this recording everything, recording videos with no sound, with all the text messages and screenshots, there's no evidence of him saying anything that would cause or induce all this. It's just evidence of them saying it. Now, I do got to say this, and this is hold on, I didn't mean to do that. There we go. This is some real shit that I'm about to say, and y'all need to know this in this modern day world where everything is screenshotted, recorded, and everything is, there's receipts for everything. Y'all need to know and understand this. Women are this cunning to where they will say things, okay? They will they will put some things in a text message, in a private text message that's not true. They will put, okay, this is something that I've seen. I'm not even going to say with who, how, where, what. I've seen this. I'm tired of you and all your antics and your attempts to intimidate me. You put that in a private, they're cunning enough to put that in a private text message to where even though there's no evidence of you using antics and tactics to intimidate, but the mere fact that she said it in a private conversation to you makes it ring true. So when it's taken to judges and lawyers, they have it planted in their head that this person is doing this thing. And if you fuck up and respond to a bullshit text, if you respond to a bullshit text like that, like she's sitting there typing, I'm tired of your tactics and your antics and your attempts to intimidate me. And if you respond to that with like some bitch, shut the fuck up, it's going to make it look like that. Because you probably do feel like bitch, shut the fuck up, because you can see she's just saying some bullshit that's not true. So it's like you end up responding to private texts with the understanding that this is going to potentially be public and presented, even though there's no evidence that I did it. It's put out there through her words saying it, and then now I got to deny it. It's almost like the movie where a politician said, I'm going to say to my opponent, it was a comedy where I think Robin Williams was running for president. He said, I'm going to say my opponent has sex with animals. And somebody was like, do you have any evidence of that? No, but I'm going to enjoy hearing him deny it. That kind of thing goes on in this modern world where somebody I'm telling you, I'm looking at this, and they're saying he did this, he did that. What did they produce? A video of him yelling with no audio. We don't know if he making perfect sense or not. We don't know if she's saying, fuck you. We don't know if she up here saying, I can see her in this box. We don't know if she up here saying, fuck you, daddy, you ain't shit, you broke ass nigga. We don't know what she's saying, and we don't know what he's going off about. They're sending a video with no audio. Like, I'm not saying that he haven't done some bad stuff. I'm just saying that in their receipts, the shit is shaky. I'm just saying they anteed up. The woman, the ex-wife and the two daughters anteed up to try to destroy him. And I'm like, look at what they're showing. A video of him, with no audio, which means they deliberately muted the audio, which means it was something that they didn't want to be heard in there. They want to let you use your imagination about how awful he's being. Back and forth text messages where all he did is said, yes, your mom is a piece of shit because she stole my money. And then everything else is just her saying stuff. Every time I spoke to you, you would yell and scream about a legal situation that I can't even respond to because I am not involved. I am your child, okay? You don't got evidence of that, but she's saying it. She's typing it. There's no evidence of him sending a message in all caps. There's no video evidence of him doing that. I'm not saying he didn't do it. I'm just saying the evidence that they're presenting is not evidence. It's just evidence that they typed it to him in a private text message that they then took public. What I'm saying, I've seen in my personal life, somebody typed something in a private text message that was not true and then tried to use it in a situation. I'm just saying that happens. He probably a complete and total piece of shit. Only thing I'm saying is that they have not provided adequate evidence. That's all I'm saying. Said, I am your child, not your lawyer, your ex-wife, any of it. I can do nothing, yet you yell at me like it's my fault. You are putting so much anger and rage on me. Every phone call, cursing, screaming, and God knows what else. I'm sorry, but I cannot be the target of it. Of that. It's not fair. I got to the point where I could not hear your voice without having anxiety attacks. You have to at least respect I'm putting my health and well-being first. All right, now this is what he's responding. What equals $250 million of my money is obviously mine. Obviously. Last time I'm saying this, I thought you were busy and traveling or whatever, and I saw his number under Okoye's, that's the other daughter's best friend. Don't respond. He really can't understand your mother, and neither can you. It's okay. Punish me. You aren't stupid. Stop it. At some point, you know the truth. Honestly, I just care about your well-being. I love you. Like, this is the type of stuff that he's typing, but they're trying to show. The point that I'm making is they're producing no receipts of him being a monster, but they are just insisting in their messages that he's a monster. You know, you are being blocked for not respecting my boundaries. I asked you 10 million times to not talk to me about the lawsuit again. Happy holidays. I love you. It's like he's getting dragged and they're showing receipts, but showing nothing. Shout out to Shining Rose. I'm looking at the comment section right here. He says, what I see is years of manipulation and multiple men in and out of mommy's life, ultimately ruining the sanctity of those kids and getting them to believe the bullshit. And Russell is fed up. P.S. Also, it never fails. Women always come to social media to rally the troops, to garner support from strangers. It never fails. It's like the powers that be have mentally cracked the psyche code to get women to run to social media. Crack the psych code to get women to run to social media to dog out men, usually the men who took care of them at one point. Yes, this is looking like he's no longer doing what they want, when they want, how they want, and they're having their issues. They're having their issues. They're upset. They're upset because he ain't doing it like he used to do it. But the reason he ain't doing it like he used to do it is because he like, your mama stole my money. And y'all backing her and on her side. So don't call me asking me for nothing. It sounds like that's the only conclusion that he's arrived at. I'm not hearing him say nothing. I'm not hearing him say anything. Now, Kimora Lee also dropped, yeah, I guess that's still her name. I don't know. She dropped a video where she's going off and she's going in and she's got all this shit to say, talking about how she's, had to run the company and pay the payroll and do all of this and do all of that. And he, he's an asshole. He's a jerk. He's crazy. He's all over the place. They're basically just trying to make him look crazy. The daughter's dropping videos, the ex-wife dropping videos. Everybody is, and they're all, showing text messages of stuff where he's not saying anything wrong in the text message. They don't got him on video saying anything wrong. Only thing they got him doing is consistently talking about how my ex-wife and her new husband stole my money. That's the only thing that this man is saying. And that's that. That's that. And all of that happened on Father's Day. All of that happened on Father's Day. Shout out to Theo Wolf in the building. Says only only if the table is in hell. Talking about that negotiating table that we about to talk about. The version of emotional abuse is no. Thank you to Xavier. Shout out to both of y'all. Appreciate y'all coming through and putting $2 on it.
These last $2, I'm not gonna lose.
All right, now let's get into, I don't even want to say get into the fuckery, because I don't think it's fuckery. But we got to get into it, though. We got to get into the main course. There was some more videos and some more stuff I could show on that, but I'm going to keep it moving because that was pretty much the gist of it. I'm going to keep it moving because that was pretty much the gist of it. Now, here is the deal. Here is the deal. We're about to play something from BGS. Well, I'm gonna let's do this like that. About to play something from BGS, something that he just recently dropped. Something that BGS just recently dropped about the table talk. And I'll freely admit I'm one of the people who never understood what any of the table business was about, even though I've heard Obsidian talk about it a lot. I never, the whole idea of coming back to the table, the whole idea of women coming back to the table is never a concept that I understood. I understand the concept of a general social contract between men and women. I see you, GC. I'll bring you up in a second, but let me get through the main course here. Let me get through the main course. RM, check your email in 3, 2, 1. All right. Let me get through the main course here, and then we're gonna get into it. All right.
Now, this is my position. My position is that we need honest critics. No one can look at themselves accurately by themselves. You need other people.
Now, this is BGS. He's playing a clip of Obsidian before he gets into, what he wanted to say here. I probably should just let him set up the premise as to why, but I feel like I need to set it up right now. Because Obsidian is one of the founding founding fathers or whatever. That name sounds corny to me, but definitely one of the 3 people who started the whole idea, the concept of the Black Manosphere. When it comes to what the early initial mission was, he's saying Obsidian being there at ground zero. Obsidian overall don't have no authority. Like I said, Obsidian will go all over the place, and he'll go a lot of places that, sometimes that we can't go with him. Most people can't go with him. Sometimes he's absolutely on point. Sometimes it's like, oh shit, what the hell? Where did Obsidian go with that one? But when it comes to the early, initial mission, BGS is, playing what Obsidian has to say, because Obsidian was there at ground zero and one of the people who started it. So in that sense, it does give him, I hate to use the word authority, but it does give him just some credibility in stating what the mission initially was, or how it started. Now, I'm going to argue that Angerman, O'Shea, and Obsidian probably all had different motivations, but Obsidian's going to lay out in this part right here what the initial mission was, and then that's going to lead right into BGS further explaining it. So here it is.
To help you see yourself. And I am not above critique. I'm not. I think critique is fair. And so to that end, I extend a invitation to both of them. They're welcome to come here. As a matter of fact, if they're listening right now, they can take the link and we can come on up and we can talk about it. Because I'm going to address both of their concerns today. So let's start, because here in this dojo, we always take the gentleman first. Let's start with Clarence Jr. He did a video yesterday.
Somebody is asking a good question in the chat, and this is worth explaining. It says, how did Obsidian start it if it was 2.0? The Black Manosphere 2.0 post-Hawk retroactively called Black Manosphere 1.0 1.0. Black Manosphere 2.0, as far as I understand it, that was the first actual time that the term Black Manosphere was used, and it was organized and it was put forth. But out of a nod of respect to those who were putting in work, before them, they say, hey, we'll call y'all 1.0, we're 2.0. That's what happened. So you can't really say that it started before 2.0. You could say that there were men online with similar content before the Black Manosphere started, but it was a little spread out and a little, all over the place. I won't even say spread out all over the place. It just wasn't an actual understood, organized, agreed upon thing. It wasn't a vision. It was just we coming on here, we saying what we got to say. But no, that part is true, and I think everybody pretty much concedes that point. But good question. People need to know that.
Where in which he was giving his critique about me and BGS did more Black Gnostic Speaks. We recently did an impromptu. It wasn't planned, but it was an impromptu interview that we did with the Breakdown a Woman's Perspective crew, Concrete Rose and Sister George. And the question on the table, the main question was whether Black women would come back to the table. Both yours truly and BGS has been accused of making that argument that we want to have an actual conversation with Black women. We stand guilty as charged. As not only will I say, do we stand guilty as charged, let me take it a step further. We've achieved our objective. We have achieved the objective of sparking an actual conversation between Black men and Black women now. As is often the case with yours truly, I cannot speak for Black Gnostic. I'll speak for myself. As is the case with yours truly, I tend to achieve what it is that I set out to do. As a general rule, that's true. And this is another example of that. I set out to foster an actual conversation between Black men and Black women, and look at what's happened. Far beyond my borders, so to speak. So that was the whole premise.
Now, what he mean by that, he's fostered a conversation between Black men and Black women. What he means by that is, especially when he said far beyond his borders, what he's talking about right there is it's all over the internet. Black men and Black women are just talking. I just reviewed the Daily Wrap-Up crew yesterday. They have women on their show every day. They make essentially manosphere type arguments that were fostered and cultivated in the belly of the beast of the Black manosphere. They bring women on their show every day and they have the conversation. A lot of them, they have these nice shows. They're set up like the same show. Like if you go to like the Madame Noir channel and they got like a TV show set doing the show called Listen to Black Women. Well, Black men are doing similar type of shows, but they're arguing the points of men and they're bringing women on and they're debating them. And now instead of it being what it used to be, where the women just had shows and they will bring on simps and drones to sit there and echo the sentiments of women and confirm that they're right and pat them on the head. And now men are doing similar type of content where the social dynamics between men and women, or Black men and Black women, are being debated, but it's a man running it, it's a man in control of it, and it's at the point of view of actual argued in the discussion. Kevin Samuels started that shit. And Kevin Samuels would admit that a lot of the things that he said came from some of Obsidian's early arguments, 2015, 2018 Obsidian. I have my issues with there's versions of Obsidian that I, had my issues with where he went left, but there's some iterations of Obsidian where he was absolutely 100% on point when it came to advocating for black men, being the voice of the everyday brother and all of that, where Obsidian has knocked it out the park. And Kevin Samuels took aspects of that, took aspects of BGS, aspects of Angerman, aspects of a lot of people, and figured out a creative way to give that shit to the world. And that ultimately led to a lot of channels sprouting up where now the normal standard run-of-the-mill conversation is no longer the simp conversation where men are pulling with the shit that we saw Dr. Umar pulling yesterday when I reviewed him on the Daily Wrap-Up Crew. No, the run-of-the-mill now is men speaking either in a manospherian type of way or manosphere adjacent. So in that sense, or they're speaking manosphere adjacent, and a lot of times they're doing it, with a live opponent, live female opponent, challenging them, and they go back and forth. And so, yes, in that sense, if women coming back to the table just meant a conversation, debate, a real conversation, not the simp non-versation that they used to have, but a real actual conversation between black men and black women, if that was Obsidian's mission, even though he don't facilitate it or do it on his channel, but he can say he sparked it, he can say he sparked it. So in that sense, yes, there's a degree of, his goal accomplished right there. Now we got to get into what BGS is talking about, because that's what Obsidian is talking about when women coming to the table to have a conversation. That's all Obsidian is talking about. Them just sparking a real conversation between black men and black women. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Those conversations in most cases prove that the women are disingenuous, that they gaslight, that they make shit up, that they dodge, those conversations proves that let me get it ready. Let me get it ready. Those conversations prove that.
But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
If you ask me, that's all those conversations prove. But that aspect of it, it was that was a part of the initial mention. Yeah, Game Changer, we always had those conversations. I'm talking about those conversations are everywhere. Everywhere you go, there you see manosphere conversations everywhere. That's what I'm saying. You see, the women have to, when women do their channels, they have to average into the equation the shit that the manosphere say. Otherwise, they sound stupid if they're not addressing it head on. So when you say we've always had those conversations, if by we you mean the black manosphere, then yes, the black manosphere has fostered those type of conversations. They we can say that we've done that. And even Ace Metaphor admitted that that the type of content that he does isn't even as popular no more. It's more popular to do content that's sort of manosphere or manosphere adjacent. So in that sense, that yes, there's a certain degree of of course, Game Changer. Of course, individual men had those conversations. I'm talking about those conversations happening on a big ass satellite. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about scale. I'm saying the manosphere succeeded at causing that to happen. Saying the manosphere succeeded at causing that to happen. And now we got to get to what BGS. Now we got to get to what BGS was talking about when he's talking about them coming back to the table.
Premise of the impromptu interview BGS Itmore and I did with Sister George and Concrete Rose last Sunday.
Hey, my Itmore brothers, I'm back again, and here we are again with the quote-unquote table talk. as you heard in the clip from one of the founders of the Black Manosphere. Okay, I was merely a sidekick.
Captain Cisco, I've told you multiple times. Send me the links. Okay, of all you be talking about all this alien stuff, send me the links. I won't promise that it will be talked about on the air, but I am curious. Send me the links. I agree with that statement. D. I agree with that statement. That's one thing I don't like about the whole concept of leaders or self-appointed leaders or whatever the hell. One thing I don't like about that is that people only use the concept of a leader of the Black Manosphere when shit goes wrong. Pearly things do something stupid, all of a sudden she become the leader of the Black Manosphere. Somebody do something stupid, the Black Manosphere guru, Black Manosphere this, Black Manosphere, like I said, when Rollo Tomasi had that bad moment about the vasectomy, all of a sudden they re-anointed him the godfather of the Manosphere. So people only, nobody in the Manosphere, you've never heard a content creator say that another content creator is his leader. You've never heard that. The only people who use the term leader is somebody trying to present themselves as a leader, or somebody or if somebody is trying to shit on the Manosphere by saying somebody who just fucked up and said some stupid stuff is the leader of it. That's the only time that the concept of leader takes place. He's mean AT aliens? No, Captain Cisco was telling me something about actual aliens. It was somebody here telling me something about the government and some aliens. And they was trying to get me to do content on it. I think that was Captain Cisco. All right, we're trying to stay focused. He said we need to have a conversation about why these aliens never capture Black American women in their spaceship. It's some content out there about aliens that he's trying to get me to partake on. I don't know if I'll do it. But all right, now let's get into what BGS talking about when BGS talking about women back at the table, because he means something different than just a conversation between Black men and Black women.
That indeed bringing women back to the table was part of the founding, part of the tenets of the Black Manosphere 2.0. We retrofitted 1.0 back to what I call the pre-manosphere. So whatever they say, whatever they're on, whatever they talk about, they don't count, because there was no Black Manosphere when we got here. The Black Manosphere, as it is made up, it is constituted, is 2.0. Let's get that straight. All the other crap about 1.0, we did the tenets they came from, all the kind of stuff what they stood for. They have not provided any evidence, any substance. Nobody that's from 1.0, the so-called founders, whoever they were, has come out and said exactly what it was about. The only
and to piggyback on what BGS has said right there, people like Keep It 100 been around, more than 10 years. Ed been around more than 10 years. LAR got videos that go back 12 years on his channel. Ed been around that long. Black Ram been around that long. I asked all of them, what was it early on about? And really it was addressing, everybody could word it a little different, but at the end of the day, it was addressing the basically addressing, analyzing in some way, shape, or form the social dynamics between Black men and Black women in one way or another. Some people could word it a little different, tweak it a little different. People probably, had a slightly different focus, but at the end of the day, that's what they were talking about. I'm, some people say no, they were focused more on family court and child support and this or that. It's like, okay, yeah. You're talking about in male female interactions, okay, as it pertains to legal situations. You have to be in, you're either in a relationship or fucking a woman and having some issues with a woman to end up there. So people were addressing the male female dynamics no matter how you slice it. No matter how you slice it, that's what was going on. I've asked all the people that have been here, been around from, pre-2015. I've asked all of them. They've all consistently said the same thing. They've all consistently said the same thing. Now, some new people propping up and saying, no, we never talked about women. We talked about trading and coding. But like, no, is no.
Person that could be part of it is Soul and Black. Okay, part of it. I don't even know if he's a founder. I know that he's one of them. But 2.0 from the very beginning, bringing women back to the table to have a discussion about male-female relationships was and is part of the mission. Always was. Obsidian said it. And as he said, as I said, that mission that we set out, as we set it out, was accomplished. I don't care what people say. I don't care what questions they bring up. I don't say what table, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. You are not the person or the people that actually established and set up the parameters of the mission. You weren't there.
Now, the only disagreement or question I would have with BGS is that we understand that was Obsidian's thing. How much was that Angry Man in O'Shea's thing? That's the only question that I would have. A lot of the early content was as I understand it, it was men. I mean, Angry Man pulled up a lot of his old stuff. I've seen videos of Angry Man for 2015 in his car going off, breaking down some bullshit that Oprah did, or that Oprah has, I've seen those videos. I've seen them. So here's my thing. It's always been a counterpunch. It's always been a counterpunch to the bullshit that women have said about black men. It's always been a counterpunch. It's always been a male-centric counterpunch to the female-centric bullshit and propaganda that they put out there against men. It has always been that. Now, to what degree each individual wanted to foster a conversation with the women, I think that part is debatable. But either way it go, it was a response or counterpunch to the bullshit that women said. And it was a counterpunch, and it on behalf of the male listener who needed to hear something else other than that bullshit. That's how I always looked at it. And that's, if I had to bet, I say that's what most people was probably doing. But what he's saying is accurate, that, Obsidian always wanted to have a conversation.
So everybody else can go take a flying leap.
And I think that they call that conversation the table. All right.
Whatever bridge they decide to take it off of. Hopefully it's a very low one so they survive the fall. So y'all can miss me with all the other crap about the table, and there ain't no table, ain't coming back, and all that kind of stuff, because you didn't set up the parameters of the mission. And as I said, and as he said, and as other people have said that have set this out, that mission is already come and gone. It's already accomplished. We saw it night after night with Kevin. We saw it night after night with all the purple pill content.
Real quick. If Jap is 1.0, then nobody can ever tell me that 1.0 wasn't about talking shit about women. Because Jap is practically the king of talking shit about women. so that's why everybody can miss me with that. Everybody can miss me with that whole we didn't talk about women back then. Like, cut it out. Cut it out. Nothing wrong with talking about women. I think it matters how you do it. It matters how you do it and why you're doing it. I think that's more so what matters. People like to engage in the straw man of, oh, y'all just crying about women. Y'all just crying about some girl who dumped you in middle school. Y'all crying about some pussy y'all can't get. That's the straw man, and there are some people who open the door and lean into the punch of that straw man. But overall, that ain't everybody. That ain't the majority. Majority of the people, Shout out to Keep It 100. Majority of the people is just doing a breakdown and analysis of the bullshit. Most people are doing a breakdown and analysis of the bullshit before their audience of majority men, so the men can know it, hear it, understand it, and move accordingly. That's what most people are doing. Everything else is a straw man, and it's fucked up that people within the space are cooking up even worse straw man arguments than what the biggest detractors did in in the earlier days of it. People within the space are coming back with old arguments that were already defeated. It's ridiculous.
Creators, you see it, still see it night after night, with all the so-called dating videos that you see all the time. Kendra G already set this out. That mission is already come and gone. It's already accomplished. You saw it night after night with Kevin. You saw it night after night with all the purple pill content creators.
When you say purple pill content creators, I think you're talking about the people like the Daily Wrap Up crew. I don't think that they're purple pill. I think that's really kind of a way of just throwing shade. I mean, I don't think he called it purple pill when Kevin Samuels was doing it, and when he BGS do his BGS for women, it's not purple pill, but it's almost like when some people talking to women, oh, they purple pill. They're saying a lot of the same shit, though. I mean, the purple pill is to me, that's some slander to throw on somebody that you just shading for no reason. I mean, I'm no big fan of calling somebody purple pill. I'm no big fan of that. I'm no big fan of that. They doing content where they're arguing on behalf of men and they're dunking on bullshit female arguments and they're doing a good job at it. I'm not about to sit there and call them purple pill. Now, if they're saying if they'll say some blue pill simp sounding shit in one breath, and then they'll say some red pill sounding shit in another breath, then maybe I can call them purple pill. But overall, I think that's a jab. I just think that's a jab at certain content creators. I don't know if he's doing it on purpose. That's just my opinion on that. I don't just be throwing out that purple pill charge. I don't like that. That's just my opinion. Just my opinion.
You see it, still see it night after night with all the so-called dating videos that you see all the time, Kendra G amongst others, right? You still see it. Okay, you have sparked a conversation. You have sparked not only conversation in the black manosphere, in the black community, but also the white community, in the white manosphere. You look at, in the white manosphere, you look at Donovan Sharp, you look at Fresh and Fit, you look at whether you like her or not, just pearly things. You see it all over the place. You didn't see that before. It was not there. That didn't happen on this scale. You see this stuff going on inside the academia. They're questioning these things. We have sparked the conversation. We have set up our quote unquote metaphorical table the way that we set it up, the way that we defined it back in 2015, the way that we defined it back in 2015. The rest of that stuff doesn't matter.
All right. So that's one table that he's talking about. The table of just the conversation, the debate, the back and forth between men and women, a real conversation where the men are not simping and they're speaking as men. If that's one particular table, yes, I believe the Black Manosphere has accomplished at that table. All right. But again, we're just talking about online conversations and debate right there. I think the Black Manosphere, with the blowing up of Kevin Samuels blowing up like that, and now that type of content is everywhere. Yes, I think that you can say mission accomplished if your whole goal was just to change the worldview and just lexicon of how people talked or how men talk or how men thought and how men came into conversations, or how men analyze the social dynamics between men and women, not from a more female-centric simping perspective. Yes, there's a lot of niggas out there still simping, but as far as media goes, I hear less men saying simp shit than what I hear men saying manosphere adjacent type shit. So the manosphere, particularly the Black Manosphere, could pat itself on the back for that one, for just changing that aspect of it. Now, this is where somebody come in. Well, what laws have you changed? I didn't say shit about laws. I said, as far as just the dialogue and the conversation and the way that people think or speak on their media platforms when it comes to the social dynamics between black men and black women, I think the Black Manosphere has changed those type of conversations forever. All right? They have. We have.
You think about it, doesn't matter. Because I always get this, well, you think they're going to come back to the table? They were already back. Economic stress.
Okay. Now, I like what you're saying right there, Game Changer. You saying that is not a table. You get where I'm going. You get where I'm going. Okay, my bad, Captain Cisco. I got you. I will look. I will pay attention. Because now we're about to see what BGS is talking about when he's talking about a table. Yeah, that's a fair point, GC. You said that that's not a table, what I was just describing. Fair enough. This is where the concept of that particular type of table that you're saying is not a table, and I understand and I, for the most part, agree. Now we're about to see what BGS's table is.
The rest of that stuff doesn't matter. What you think about it doesn't matter. Because I always get this, well, you think they're going to come back to the table? They were already back. Economic stress already brought them back. COVID already drove them back. They were already coming back before that because of economic stress.
That's the table that BGS is talking about. That real life table, the economic stress, the damn near like social or economic calamity. It is being harder for women to survive on their own, or harder in some cases with some men, given what the average man make, depending on where you live, give or take, plus or minus this or that, or how many bills you got and how you manage your money. It's hard for some men to survive on their own. So black men and black women who are largely separated, some of them in certain economic brackets, going to have to come back together to the table and figure shit out. That's the table that BGS is talking about. The she session, recession, economic calamity, eviction crisis, the eviction bubble or whatever, the eviction bubble is going to bust, and then now they coming back to the table. That table right there, and this is why I don't necessarily rock with any of the table talk, because like Game Changer kind of pointed out, the table that Obsidian is talking about is not really a table. And when you talk about this type of table where economic calamity is going to bring them back to the table, I'm like, the bailout will always be in place unless the government goes full gangster. Unless the government just goes full gangster and like, hey, you bitches is on your own. Go work it out with your men. Nope, ain't no welfare. Nope, we're not going to subsidize, incentivize, or do anything to help you. And when government daddy say we ain't your daddy no more, then men and women may have to actually sit at a negotiation table. But as long as the government is also at said table, then it's not. It's like it's not a no. It's like no. And then there's the idea and the concept of, well, do you really want that? Is that what you want? A broke hungry bitch crawling back on her knees, crawling to you on her knees because of economic calamity. But however, and I should let the video play, because BGS do point out that happens in lots of societies when there's economic crisis. Men and women do actually work out their problems, and yeah, socialism and aspects of feminism do work to basically keep men and women separate. But if aspects of that do get broken down, which is not getting broken down because the government not going to bail them out, but if aspects of that do get broken down, then yeah, men and women would end up back, at the table negotiating, but they're not going to end up there, because there always will be a bailout plan of some sort. There always will be a way for them to function, for them to get by. If we're talking about some type of crazy economic calamity happening, then yes, maybe. But I just don't see it happening. But BGS is arguing that it already has happened. They already have come back to the table. That's what he's arguing. He's arguing that the I guess the evictions and the job loss and all of this and all of that somehow that men and black men and black women are getting together at a higher rate now, and so they're back at the table, and so the men need to I don't know, figure out what it is that they want from these women that are back at the table. That aspect of it, I don't see it. I don't see that. I see women still doing what they're doing when they want to do it, how they want to do it, with who they want to do it with some fluctuations of nonsense. I've told the story. I've been very subtle in telling the story because a lot of people I know listen to the shows, listen to my shows. So, but there was a situation where I had to where a chick knocked on my door that I used to mess with, and she looked like she was doing pretty damn bad, and I had to close the door on her. Like I've had the DM slides like right around the time of all the eviction shit and women falling off, like, but no. I've I've had to block an individual or two. Does that mean that they're back at the table because they fell on hard times and let me try to see if I can get somebody to simp? Does that mean back at the table? I don't think no. That's where the table talk gets weird to me, because what are we talking about? But if we're just simply talking about things that have gotten bad economically, and so the men and women got to work together. I have not seen that happen in America yet. Now, somebody is saying, Devin D, that's BGS's motivation. Now, this is the part where I got to keep it real. When everybody on the more conservative side of things are saying, that let's get rid of welfare. Let's get rid of everything that subsidizes and incentivizes the modern woman to do all the bullshit that she does. Let's get rid of all that. What you are talking about is essentially creating an economic calamity. That part, we do got to keep it real right there. Now, it could be just your conservatism and you're a small government guy and you just want smaller government, but no, you are realizing that the reason that women could be, modern day second wave of feminists and out of pocket and do all the stuff that they do is because there's nothing that's going to drag them. They're not going to fall off. Either they're going to be able to take care of themselves and just get by. Either they can't do that, the government is going to take care of them and they're going to just get by. And short of that, there will probably be some simp bailout plan that will help them just get by. One way or another, they will get by. They're like the banks. They're too big to fail in the current situation. So when we start talking about, the government not incentivizing certain shit, then in a roundabout way, we are talking about something that would essentially, I use the term, bring women back to the table. And in that context, the table is Big Daddy government is not in between the interactions between men and women. Now, I'm talking about it on a macro scale because I already can hear the straw man arguments. I'm not talking about I need the government to do something to inhibit, derail, and to somehow halt or impede the progress of women so I can finally get some ass. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about, and this is what BGS is talking about, to be completely fair and charitable to him. This is what he's talking about. He's talking about a situation where on a macro scale, the men and the women of a particular group will have to come together at a higher percentage rate because that's what's going to be necessary for people to get by. And by that, he's saying back at the table. My argument is the current worldview and ideology and perspective of so many men, and I would even say on the right and the left, is that they're not going to let women fall off that hard. They're just not. Nobody's going to do that. Nobody's going to do that. They will be good. So in that sense, it won't happen. But let's do the rest of the video. Let's do the rest of the video.
Automation started bringing these women back already. AI, the advancement of AI will start bringing these women back because it's going to start hitting the service sector. The service sector, as we know, it's going to get hit by AI and automation, right? We call it for certain people, I'm not going to say who they are, Gabe. Intelligent automation is the process with AI, okay? And what they call software bots, even though you eggheads try to slice the difference. They're the same thing. They're trying to separate AI because they're not trying not to scare people. Same shit. When you take human beings out of the process, it's automation, boss. Press a button, the machines take care of it. That's going to happen. The de-dollarization and basically the inflation because of lack of living spaces, because we did not build enough houses and apartments and stuff like that. Did not build enough. Okay, guess what? You had increase. You had importing people that were increasing population, and you're not building anything for them. You're not building affordable housing. What do you think is going to happen? Now people can't live separately anymore. They're going to have to live together. They're going to have to team up. They're going to have to make families, like it or not. Like it or not, it happens every place else in the world. I don't see why we think that the Black community is this isolated nugget that works outside of everybody else. When they've done this before. Black people have done this before. They will do it again. Black women, they say Black women are the most hard-headed women in the world. Yeah, to a point. I think we're way past that point. But just as Obsidian laid it out, and he's been very consistent, I can say this, he can disagree with me if he wants. For the past 8-9 years, he's been very consistent about sparking a discussion between Black men and women. That is how he defines the table. Everybody thinks it's supposed to be a bargaining table where, just like unions, where you sit down with contracts and we going back and forth, what you get, what I get. No, that is not what it was described. Even unions don't work that way. It starts out with a discussion.
So even within the table talk, there's multiple tables. There's different tables going on. I think I said all I need to say of it. I will put the link in the chat. I'll probably end up playing a little bit more of what BGS is saying here. But we do have to take the time and acknowledge Machismo TV.
Welcome to Machismo TV, the ultimate destination for modern men seeking to upgrade their lifestyle. Subscribe to Machismo TV and Saul T-Balls. We stream daily from 12 midnight to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the best male-centric content. Highlight reels without reviewing or providing any editorial bias to the content. We have done so much, with so little for so long, we are now qualified to do anything, with nothing.
All right. We are joined by Game Changer. Hold on real quick, GC, before I go to you. Shout out to E. Capone. I apologize for being slow on the super chats. All super chats will be read and acknowledged. Do thank and appreciate everybody who's supporting the stream. Where the hell is my phone? Because I did get a $20 cash app right before the show started that I do need to properly acknowledge you. But thank you, E. Capone, for putting 5 on it. And thank you. Thank you, Devon Mitchell, for putting $2 on it. He say Black women rather sleep in cars than come to the table. Hashtag van life. That's some funny stuff.
These last $2, I'm not gonna lose.
And shout out to Mean Run Enterprise for the $20 Cash App. Shout out to Me and Run Enterprise for the $20 Cash App. All right. Okay, GC, you had quite a bit to say in the chat room. Last thing I'll say is this whole table talk. I've never understood it. I think this is the as close to as clear of an understanding of the table talk as I've ever had, and I still, but anyway, let's go.
Well, table talk, as I understand it, and right, it is very cryptic, but table talk, as I understand it, is really a collective bargain for women's attention. It's kind of like unionized mating for men. Okay, women have done this for quite some time. You ever take one for the team?
Yeah, and I've taken one. It wasn't the team. I just took
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so that is essentially what's going on here. So if you're out and you see like a group of women, let's just say 4 women, and it's 4 guys, but one of the women really isn't all that. She's not, but in order for the other 3 guys to get with the more attractive women, the one guy would have to take it for the team, because they know that if that 4th woman is not happy, then she would assure that the other 3 guys will not become happy.
But then there's some of us who just go after the wounded animal in the pack regardless.
Yeah, exactly.
Because she's easier to chase down.
Exactly. There are those who do that too. Yeah. But that's how men operate, particularly black men. But we won't go into that. But I mean, from the point of view of a woman, they look at themselves as a package deal. In order to get to her, you got to satisfy this particular one. That is what it seems to be the table as what we're talking about here. It's okay.
I'm a little confused. All
right. Yeah, that's because it's okay. Let's just revert back to high school, right? You're in high school, you have a prom date, and you're about to go to prom, right? And then there's this guy who asked 12 people to the prom, and they all said no, right? Now, it's his job to say, okay, let's negotiate. Even though none of the women really want to negotiate with him, they will negotiate with you, Bernard. So he convinces you to say, okay, I'm not going to go to prom unless this man goes to prom. Y'all got to assure that everybody gets a prom date, or else Bernard is not going to go to prom with his chick. Now, that doesn't really benefit you, Bernard. However, it does benefit that particular person. Okay, I'll give another example.
I get what you're saying, not taking shots at the individual that you clearly took a shot at. But I think I've heard somebody argue that unions are for I heard somebody argue. I'm not saying I agree with his argument, because I was a union guy at one point. But he said unions are for uncompetitive losers, because it basically socializes everybody to the same spot, and it does not encourage the industrious, intelligent, hardworking, blah 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 blah. Everybody is just in the union in the same spot. So it's almost like, so what you're saying is there's like some degree of like unionized, like an advocacy for unionized dating, so to speak.
Well, that's what will be discussed at the table, but that is the goal of the table. Absolutely. The goal of the table is to socialize mating, in a sense. So the select fuckboys don't get more than their fair share. They get the same as an everyday brother or a unskilled tradesman. Like that is what they would get. So, and that is why it's imperative to bring like a select fuckboy, shout out to rest in peace Kevin Samuels, to the table with him, because you are really bargaining with his dick. Say you have this guy, right? Say you have this guy who say you're working at a job and you make say $25 an hour, right? but
Okay.
you're unhappy with this $25 an hour, and somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, Bernard, we need to unionize, we need to unite, and we need to strike, and we need to talk to the higher ups, and get them to the union table." And then you're like, "Yeah, bet we definitely need to." He was like, "Yeah, because we're gonna make these motherfuckers pay us $20 an hour." And you're like, "Wait, what?" Like, "Yeah, we're gonna make them pay us $20 an hour." And you already got 25. So now you have to look at this dude like, "Hey, wait a minute. Maybe we should all be negotiating individual contracts." You see, the arrangement that you have with your girl is your table. That is what you negotiated. The relationship that you have is what you negotiated. And if it doesn't work out with her, then you negotiate a different relationship with a different woman. These are all individual negotiations. The people who say, which means that in your individual life, you were able to bring women to your table. The people who are advocating to bring women to a collective table means that there are few to none at their own personal fucking table. So they're trying to get everybody on board with their crap.
Huh. All right. That was an interesting interpretation of the table talk. All right. I'm gonna go to Hood Conservative. I think Hood. Well, I'm not even going to preface anything. I'm going to pass it to Hood Conservative. I'm interested. So, what's your? I mean, you've done content on the whole table talk thing. This is my first time really trying to take it head on, and so go ahead, Hood Conservative. What you got? Plantation Wireless for the win.
Okay, can you hear me? Yeah, all right.
Yeah, we can hear you.
This table thing. I would like to ask a simple question. So the guys who believe that there is a negotiation, what do black men have to use as leverage to enforce our terms? Because people say this negotiation thing as if it's like this magical thing that a young happy boy and a young happy girl just have to get together and they will make it work. But I'm asking, like, so what if women break the deal? What are you going to do then? Do you now come back and renegotiate more? Like, I don't really get that part of it. What are you going to use for as an enforcement mechanism? Because whatever deal you make, they're just going to basically go back and change the terms of the deal with the government. And so I don't get that. How are you going to really enforce terms with women who can just change the terms of the deal?
I can answer that, a conservative. The women have to want you first. See, once the woman wants you, then you have something to negotiate with. Now, if she don't, then what you do is you try to negotiate with the men that she actually do want. Does that make sense, conservative?
I think what we're running into is that the collective table makes no damn sense. I think you
Exactly.
I think you explained
Also,
it quite. I think you explained it quite well, GC. Where people say, "Oh, ain't no table this, table that," and you explained it that every man, any woman that you're dealing with, she's at your table. All right,
exactly.
Whether you accepting a shitty deal from her or you getting an amazing deal and she's doing whatever the hell you want of her and ask of her, and you getting everything you want out of the deal. That is your table, and you lay down the law for exactly what it is that you want, how you want, and you're getting what you want, how you want, and that's how it works. It is individually based. It is individually based, and I think that
the collective table is what they bring to the table. Like, so you have people who like, okay, I don't bring anything to the table that you want, individually. However, I bring a collection. I bring Bernard, Scan Likely, Hood Conservative. I bring these guys to the table, and I know somebody want them. So now let's negotiate. That's what's being attempted here. Now it's going to break down in several different ways because, for one, nobody is really qualified to speak for the plurality of men. They're not. So because you have a guy, I think some guy said, you should strive to be a 7 so you can get a 4. Nigga does not speak for me. He does not speak for me. You know, trying to get high value men to get with low value women is not a thing. And that's another thing. These dudes be talking to like old ass, married women that are fat as hell and stuff, talking about, see, we got them to talk. That's some bullshit. You got fucking chitlin, Mississippi bitches to a table, and you think they have nothing to offer, and they're still not offering it to you because you're married, because they're married. What the? This is no table I want to sit at.
All right, scam likely in the building. You have the floor. You have the mic. I don't like your name, by the way, but carry on.
Sounds like dust to me all around. Like actually not even dust, just dirt. It's been watered on, maybe even mud. Here's the deal. People want what they want.
What are you talking about, dust and dirt?
The whole negotiating and bringing to the table, and we're going to bring them in. And just no. Here's the deal. People want what they want. There's three classes of people. Let's take women. There's women who are wives and marriable, and they do right. Then you got average women who are properly moldable for the right dude. Then you got the nation of Wigwam. They out of control, and they no matter what you bring, they just out of control. The problem is, if you keep grouping all the women as if they all the same, then they keep throwing this fictional guy who's called the average man, knowing that people are individuals and they're different.
Who's grouping women like they're all the same?
Most of the conversations, it's just these women's. The modern women.
I agree. No, anybody that don't make the distinction between attractive women and overweight women that are 40 plus with kids and shit, and then say we're bringing women to the table. First of all, when they say we're bringing women to the table without classifying what type of woman, you are putting them, you are grouping them to the table. Like you are grouping them all in the same place.
No, but here the deal is, there's supposedly some kind of meeting where I'm just trying to put this together. There's a meeting. There's 50 men and 50 women. Some of these dudes are dust and crust, and the women just don't want these dudes. It doesn't matter if they're high value, whatever. They don't want them, and they're not going to do what they say. The answer is no. Just like you said, taking high value men, and I'm not talking about money and everything. I'm talking about dudes who can get women and don't have these problems that you hear on YouTube. Oh, man. All right, check it. People going to do what they want to do. You can't negotiate that.
When you say problems that you hear on YouTube, what problems are you talking about?
You hear it all. Yeah, child support. Yeah, the women's. She said I got to buy a Gucci bag and all that junk you hear. Yeah.
Well, I hear more men saying, don't buy these chicks a damn Gucci bag. Who the fuck are they? I hear more men saying that. What you talking about?
Well, let's be real. If 70% of the conversations got to do with what you got to buy, what you got to do for these women, that tells you that those are the conversations they're probably having in real life. Women,
conversations isn't. I don't hear I don't know. Okay, I don't know what content you listen to. I don't hear conversations where men are saying that I have to buy her a Gucci bag. What they're saying is these bitches crazy thinking I'm about to buy them a Gucci bag and we ain't even fucking.
Yeah, stuff like
giving the mess. Okay, that's giving the message to men. Don't be buying shit for women that you ain't fucking.
No, the point is
wrong. What do you see anything wrong with that?
No, here's the point. If dudes weren't going and blowing money on women that don't want them, that conversation would never take place, right?
Oh, no. It's some dudes that's doing that, but you in the belly of the beast of the men who are saying, don't go fucking do that. Right?
This is a bad straw man. Yeah.
What I'm saying.
I mean, you're building a straw man. You pulling a straw man out of your ass right now.
What is the straw man? I don't know all these.
Because you're making it seem like
spend on women is the straw man.
Huh?
A man here complaining about having to spend on women is the straw man.
Okay. I'll just throw it away.
His name is Scam Likely.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, according to the chat, it's been changed to Simp Likely, but I'll go ahead and change it to Simp Panderson. Because
can I ask a question to you then, Scam?
Simp Panderson.
I see what you're trying to. I think I see what you're trying to say, but I think the question isn't so much whether or not you buy her a bag or how much you have to spend or whatever it is guys got to do to attract women. It's not so much that you have to do things. It's the deal is a bad deal. And I think that's what what guys are really complaining about. Not so much whether the Gucci bag is irrelevant. Whether she likes tacos. Some bitches aren't worth 2 tacos, but you're forced to pay this deal. And I think that's kind of what guys are complaining about. It's not so much that you have to do X, Y, Z. It's like I don't really get much bang for my buck.
You're proving my point.
Exactly.
You're actually proving my point. When you go to women and they actually like you, they don't tell you got to do all this crazy, stupid stuff that I've never heard in my life. But if they don't like
no shit.
They start telling you.
No shit. Hold on. That's our argument. Okay, that's our argument that you don't have to do the bullshit when a woman is really fucking with you.
What I'm saying is this, and I'm kind of on board that you don't have to do all this stuff. But I'm saying if you're sitting at that table, something's wrong to begin with, and you're wasting your time. Get up and go sit at a different table.
Okay, thanks.
But also, what I'm saying is, if there's a whole bunch of dudes repetitively saying, "Man, she said,"
well, all that goes out the window in a long-term relationship.
All right, we got to just
all that goes out the window when you're dealing with marriage and long-term relationship. If you're just having sex with a chick, yeah, fine, great. But once you get into an actual relationship, the rules, like the government and all kinds of things get involved. And so I think you're still way off base here.
No, what's happening, Hood? Hold on, Hood, real quick. You're missing the depths of the straw man. He is saying by us coming online, talking, leading conversations about the bullshit that women do and how men shouldn't fall for the bullshit or go for the bullshit, how they should move in their best interest and only deal with the women that are complying to the things that they want. You know, that he's trying to make the argument that we're doing that out of a place of utter lack because we're the simp crawling on our knees doing bullshit for women. Like that's what he's doing.
I'm talking about men in general. I wasn't talking about y'all specifically.
Oh no, bullshit, because you said with all these conversations, it's all about why do I have to do this for a woman? Why do I have to do that for a woman? No, this is the tip of the spear where men are basically saying, don't do that bullshit, especially for some woman that ain't worth a goddamn. So you came in here all wrong.
Well, they cut me off every time I say 6 words, but I mean, yeah. But that wasn't what I was saying.
And no, wait. The thing that I wanted to land the plane on, by him doing what he's doing, he's essentially basically saying, he's making the just shut up argument.
Yeah, that's what I said. Just shut
up. He agreed that the women are the problem and the men shouldn't be falling for their bullshit, but the men who are basically spend their time, the men who spend the time on their channels advocating for men to not fall for the bullshit, he's coming up here telling us to shut up, advocating for something that he agrees that he agrees that men shouldn't go for the bullshit, but he's telling the men who are advocating for men to not go for the bullshit to basically just shut up. That's what he's doing.
That's not what let's do this. Not even close. And the men and the women are both the problem.
This a lot. So let me say this, Bernard. I do want to talk a little bit more about the table, a different aspect of the table, if I may. So there's also the women who just want to talk, be seen, and get attention, who appears to be as if they're going to the table or they're coming to the table, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But really, they just want to talk. They're just looking for something to do because attention is, currency to them. It's as valuable to women as it is to men, or as sex is to men, excuse me. So, you can talk hours on hours and hours thinking that you are negotiating something with overweight, married women from Mississippi. You think that you're doing something like that. You think that you're getting some headway and some leeway, but really what they're doing is they're getting off on the conversation, especially in a monetized environment. So that's another waste of time. And also, if you're going to, I'm talking individually here, if you're going to, have quote unquote the talk or negotiations, make sure she have something that's worth a damn. Like a lot of fellas are like, oh yes, I negotiated with this chick. Well, what does she have? Kids? Like, no, what does she have to offer you? Because there's this base belief that a lot of men, that a lot of black men in particular feel that having a pussy is enough. Let's negotiate for that pussy. No, If you are a man of qualities, then she has to have other qualities for you to negotiate for. And I'm talking on an individual basis, not on a collective basis.
All right, we are joined.
You know what's so funny, Bernard? Real quick before you move it on, BGS on that initial conversation that you heard Obsidian allude to when they were on the breakdown. I was listening to that conversation. I'm not even sure. I might have been on the panel for a moment, but BGS during that flagship conversation about the table, he said that the main reason, and you can go back and check the stream and verify, the main reason why he wants men to negotiate, or at least the main reason why what he thinks will happen when women come back to the table is that they won't negotiate in good faith anyway, and the men will finally get their final lesson. Like, he literally said this. They're going to come back to the table and basically squat and shit on your table. And that men need to see that, which maybe is true. Men do need to see that. But he even knows that this table thing is bullshit. He said so right on the whole conversation where he explained the idea to the breakdown ladies. All the women are going to do is come back to the table and prove to you why you should have never been sitting at the table waiting on them in the first place.
Well, they already have shitted on the table. It's called divorce. Like, that is the breaking of a contract. Whatever you negotiated for during the marriage contract, they broke that for a different one. So, we don't really need this to happen collectively because it happened to so many individually. A bitch gaining weight is really a breach of contract.
Yeah, Hood, what you're hitting on is why I don't really understand the come back to the table conversation, because listen, men are dealing with women. If you're dealing with women, if we're using the metaphor of a table, if you're dealing with a woman, she's already at your table. So unless you're an incel, I don't understand the concept of talking about they're coming back to a table. It's like they're already there. If you're dealing with a woman in any context whatsoever, they're there. It's like, what what are you doing and what are you getting? So that's why I never understood all of that. But Devin D is in the building. Shout out to Hood Server. He said Nation of Wiglam. That's a bar. Yeah, I will give you that one. Scam likely. That was a bar. I think I'm gonna steal that. Nation of Wiglam. I think I'm gonna steal that one. So good on you.
They know where it comes from. All the people across space know where it came from. It's
okay,
cool.
All right, good. Yeah, you came in here kind of on some bullshit, but I'm still in that. But Devin D in the building. He says, Bernard, can you agree most men are non-select? I said, yeah, okay. For the sake of argument, yes. Okay, now what? Like, what point are you making there? What is the non-selectness of women of most men?
Are you saying that the average man is actually, in fact, average? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah,
People are average? That is amazing. I've never heard of that. That's what I'm getting at.
And that's what I'm getting at, because he was arguing that Scam likely wasn't saying what it was that he was saying. And he's saying, but most men are non-select. I think he was referring to when he was talking about dudes not able to get women. And again, that's rooted in the whole idea, the notion, the concept that that these conversations are rooted in an outright lack of a vagina. Like that's not what motivated me in this conversation to join these conversations, to speak in these conversations. I've never came up here and said that I'm breaking down the social dynamics between black men and black women strictly because I can't get pussy but from a black woman. So all I'm going to do is try to argue all this stuff down and hope hope that we change the culture to the point to where I can finally get my dick wet. Like, no, like that, no, like that's why I never understand those kind of arguments. Well, go ahead.
I had a question. All right, I was implying, and I might be wrong on this part. I was implying that men, and I missed a part of the conversation. I came on late. I'm applying this whole men and women coming to the table is some kind of thing where the men aren't getting what they want. They're trying to change the women and make them into something. And now everybody's on some agreement, unionized thing. And now each man got some kind of woman where everybody gets a trophy. Am I wrong? That's what it sounds like. That's what's implied with tomorrow. We got to get them to come to the table.
Well, I don't hear anybody saying we got to get them to come to the table. I hear BGS saying they're already at the table due to, economic factors. And by Obsidian, when Obsidian talked about them coming to the table, he just meant just an online social media conversation between men and women that was a real conversation where the men spoke as men and argued their point as a man should. So
okay, I missed that part of the context. That might be why Sand was saying, because that's what I hear when I'm talking about we got to get.
Well, that's part of the straw man of like somebody saying we got to get them to come back to the table. Like I don't hear nobody exactly.
That's who I'm roasting. I'm actually roasting the straw man.
Oh, I'm glad you admitted that.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. Like, there's these dudes who aren't the dude trying to get the women to be something that they're not. Or they're sitting at the wrong table with a fat wigosaurus. I'm like, dude, you know, bring it to the table. You got your briefcase with money that you really don't have. She eats too much. Why is she 300 pounds? She's going to take your money. You can get ragged on. You can be back on one of these panels at 3 a.m. complaining about women. But that's more implied to the straw man. If it's neutral and it's actually some dudes saying don't sit at that table, I kind of agree. But if people
when you say don't sit at that table, you're talking about this unionized collective table, because metaphorically speaking,
meaning men are spending when men talk 80% about the modern woman, that means they're also spending 80% of their time dealing with these very modern women. Otherwise, how would they know this stuff?
Yeah, now
you
don't got to deal with nobody. Just shut up.
Well, you don't got to deal with nobody. Hold on, you don't got to deal with nobody just to see somebody's actions. That don't got nothing to do with you dealing with them. You can see it on social media.
It's always going to come back to just shut up. It really is.
Exactly.
Okay. So that's just like saying people who watch black people on Boys in the Hood.
If you have experience with women in this modern time, you have experienced some bullshit that modern women have done, and you have hopefully learned and walked away from the shit. And if you're in these conversations, hopefully you're giving good, solid information, analysis, and breakdown of the modern social dating dynamics or social dynamics between black men, black women, or men and women in this modern world. And hopefully you're saying something that makes sense that men hear and they move accordingly and they not get caught up or go for the bullshit. But what you're saying is the mere fact of talking about it. That means that you're somehow the person who's overindulging in it to the point to where you're causing the problems and the fuck shit in your life. And that's a leap, because you're assuming that just because somebody is talking about women, just because a man is talking to men about the shameful shit that women does, that somehow means that man is currently, crying himself to sleep at night over what some woman is doing to him. Like, that's what your argument amounts to.
Most of them
aren't all women modern women though. Like I don't get that. How do you escape modern women? Who has a time machine?
Well, it's not even that, because the whole term of modern woman doesn't even count, because women been doing this forever. So there's no such thing as a modern. The behavior has not changed from back in the day, from eons ago. This is just a behavior thing. And people want to put modern on there to update it, but it's still the same thing. It's the same behavior. Back in the day, your grandfather dealt with it, your great-great-grandfathers dealt with it. So that's the only thing I say, like, with the modern thing. I don't listen to them, I don't care for the term modern women and things like that, these trendy topics that people use on the internet now for clickbait and stuff like that. This is what females do.
Terms, because that's what people.
So you're saying that women haven't culturally changed recently?
No, I think that it's just been exposed that they've been doing it now. It's not no cultural change. This is what they've been doing. It's just like when people were talking about police brutality.
You're telling me in the 50s they used to divorce men and take half their shit and put them in child support court? You're telling me that's the thing?
That's one aspect of the behavior, but the behavior was still the same. They may not have gotten divorced, but they still was messing around. They still were being they wouldn't moving with more or more.
The rules were different. The women are women.
And the rules
change the rules, bro. Women are women. That divorce stuff, if she could have got away with it, she would have. But the rules are the problem. It's not the women.
Okay, the rules are influencing the culture of women, making them different. Modern rules is making modern women, basically.
Yeah, I agree with that one. I mean, like,
I think rules and culture are the same thing. So
I clicked.
We're not really arguing.
No, we're not, and that's why I clicked on with Pablo. I clicked on with Pablo.
Modern rules, modern culture, modern women.
I clicked on what
I got pushback on
I
something.
clicked on. Can y'all hear me? I was saying I clicked on what Pablo said right there because it is a matter of scale. You know, that part matters. That part has to be averaged into the equation. If they still had the same type of views, sentiments, or whatever that they're going to try to get away with whatever either the society allows them to get away with, or whatever the individual man or men in their life is allowing them to get away with, I think that thing has been a constant. What has changed is that the society, the laws, and everything else allows them to get away with more. The culture allows them to get away with more, and the individual men is willing to tolerate and put up with more bullshit. So everything is on steroids. But you could say that they really, I understand the argument that they really haven't changed. It's just the conditions have changed. But, and I'm about to kind of help BGS here. If we acknowledge that the conditions change how women act and behave, then what do you think about the argument that he tried to lay out that the economic conditions and everything will ultimately influence the women to conduct themselves and behave differently at this table? I'm trying to steel man his argument because he ain't here.
No, it's not just economics that makes them this way. You know, that's not just and also I mean,
I actually raised this issue with him in person.
Right quick.
Hold on,
let Game Changer finish, then go ahead. Just hold your thought, Hood Service.
So I mean, and also I don't think that men should be waiting for economic catastrophe that only affects the women.
Oh, of course not. And for the record, I don't think anybody truly advocates for that men should sit there not doing nothing with their life, not being industrious and trying to grow and build a business. Let's just sit back and wait and pray that that we have another Great Depression
that only affects women.
Right. Yeah. Let's wait for a Great Depression let's wait for a Great Depression that only affects women, so we can finally get some ass. I don't think nobody is arguing that. I think that's another one of the straw mans, but
that's exactly what they were talking about when they say that, you know, they are coming to the table due to the economic collapse. They are saying that, you know, okay, now they're talking to me because of an economic collapse, which means, and they feel that that's progress towards the direction that they're going. And when somebody yells cuts, that's what they're hoping for. When somebody yells winter is coming, that's what they're hoping for. They're hoping for an economic collapse that forces them on their knees, literally.
See, here's the thing though. I do also want the cuts. I do also want them to get rid of all the welfare and everything that subsidize and incentivize, you know, the women to do all the fuck shit that they do. I do
absolutely, but for a different reason, because the reason that you want it is the reason that that a lot of men want it, and that is because it will slowly destroy the culture. It means that a young girl will not be brought up in this environment. It will not help an individual 40+ man or 30+ man. You know, now these women will do anything to avoid this whole winter. You know, basically you want it so it can change the culture of future generations, not so you can benefit now at your table and you have something to negotiate with, you know, so you can sit there and like with a loaf of bread and a block of cheese, like, okay, what do you have for me now? You know, to a starving person. That's what others are advocating for. So you got to be careful about that, because it leads in that direction. Now, furthermore, and this is to you know, like the whole just shut up thing. What's going on, because this argument exists and it's very flawed. This table argument is very flawed, and this table strategy is very flawed. People are using that in order to attack the entire manosphere.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're saying, okay, these niggas, even though it's very few people who think that way, but you know, so they tear apart that, and then they use it as a just shut up to everything that you're saying. So you shouldn't be speaking on modern women in general, because this whole table discussion is rooted in personal gain at the expense of the collective.
All right. It is what it is in the building. Says, what's good, Broseph? Likes up, mother fathers. Did I read that right? Am I reading that right? That looked weird. Let me make that bigger so I can see it. Likes up. Okay, it said that's what it said. Mother fathers.
I
All
think
right,
it's
cool,
probably
cool,
a reference to the Simmons, Russell Simmons, and all that.
But all right, shout out to you. Shout out to you. Do appreciate that. Do appreciate you coming on through on the super chat and do greatly appreciate that. Oh, Java Joe. Java Joe in the building says, my understanding, let me make that bigger so I can see it. He says, my understanding is that collectively the things that men want out of a relationship that women weren't providing, returning to the table signifies their willingness to negotiate. You still lose me when you start talking about a collective table. You still kind of lose me with that, because like I said, if you're dealing with a woman, you already have your own table that you're either negotiating or making your demands, getting what you want, or whatever. There's already something going on. There's a lot of people, and I basically put myself in this category, is that I want what I want, and the woman that I deal with is going to be a woman that meets my my demands, my wants, my needs, and it is what it is. And there's enough women out there on earth that eventually you're going to find one or several or many. If you keep bouncing around and keep hollering at enough of them, you're gonna find women that you can get what you want from. Granted, what I'm saying may not apply to every single guy. I mean, there are some guys who just, for whatever reason, can attract a woman, but those aren't that's not the conversation. And everybody tried to circle it back to that conversation. But the fact of the matter is, if you're dealing with a woman, then you do have a metaphorical table that you're making your terms, that you're setting your terms and conditions, that are always saying whatever you got going on with a woman, have it going on your terms as much as possible. But thank you for that super chat, Java Joe. Shout out to Osama Abdu. He says, LOL, brother, scam artist does have some bars. Yeah, he do.
My whole thing with the whole table. My bad, sorry.
Yeah, but hold on, it was something else. Oh yeah, that's what I was waiting on. I was trying to get Hood Servative back up here. You was about to respond to something, because I remember I had made a point and I forgot what that point was, and you said you had asked BGS that same exact question. And go ahead. So set out what was the point that what point did I make, and what question did you ask the BGS? I forgot. Go ahead. Oh shit, you muted up. I don't know if you're talking, Hood Servative.
No.
Oh damn, you unmuted and muted yourself back up.
First. Oh shit.
There we go. No, we back muted. Now we go.
Yeah, stupid glitch again. My phone's glitching. No. I was gonna ask this question. Well, not even a question. I wanted to point something out. And this is a simple reality. Just the same way you laid out your method of selecting women, that is not a negotiation. You are not advocating negotiations, right? She'll be sitting at your table as a guest, but not as some type of equal negotiating partner. And that's, I think, the lie that we're getting told here. Men have never, ever, ever negotiated with women. It's just not true. The rules for relationships, the rules for marriage are things that have been laid out by essentially God. So whether it's your tribe or let's say you're Islamic, you're Christian, whatever, the rules for what men and women are supposed to do in a relationship have been laid out. They have been preordained by God. So the idea that you have something to talk about with this woman about what a man is supposed to do versus what a woman is supposed to do is inherently flawed. It's never been that way until the modern world. And so the whole thing on its face is false. What you're really saying is that men have to negotiate the rules with other men. So when you talk about things like the economic situation getting difficult for women, why would you negotiate at that point? If men actually do destroy the economics and remove all those unfair things, You think that's the point to turn around and say, let's talk? Like, think about this like a military, right? You've been at war for years. You've taken losses on the battlefield. You had attrition and all that. And you finally get the enemy on their goddamn knees. You get the enemy on their knees. You get Hitler himself on his knees. And now that Hitler's on his knees, you're like, hey, Adolf, let's talk it out. Oh, stop that bullshit. That's not how nothing works in life. None of this works like that.
Real quick. Let me. Okay.
If we actually get that collapse, there's no negotiating even then.
All right. Well, let me try to tease it out this way, because perhaps the word negotiate is the stumbling block. But let's just say, for example, if there's a man, there's a woman. She wants she wants protection and some type of provision. He want a relatively hot piece of ass to cook and clean his house. Okay, he's getting exactly what he wants, but the word negotiate so I think the word negotiate can turn into a stumbling block, because that man who's basically saying, I want a clean house and cook food. I want a hot piece of ass. You gotta be a hot piece of ass. You gotta keep yourself in shape, and you gotta act like you got some goddamn sense and talk soft. Okay, those are his demands and his terms, but he does have to do something for her. So at the end of the day, they are bartering and trading, which at some level could very well mean a negotiation. But is it that we just don't like the word negotiation?
Well, I mean, yeah, negotiation. The word negotiation.
No. Those terms are old.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the word negotiation is implied in table. Like most tables is a negotiation. That's why they say, what do you bring to the table? What are you negotiating with? Negotiation. I mean, people are going to play semantics with it, but table means negotiation. It's the noun of negotiation. It's a negotiation table. So, and yeah, we do have those table talks or discussions in each stage of a relationship between an individual man and an individual woman. Like a pimp obviously has extraordinary negotiating skills, and a person who is paying all the bills and washing the dishes, and cooking and cleaning and stuff for a woman who's not that hot, obviously has poor negotiation skills. That's why so many relationships are different. What Hood is talking about is there was a universal understanding of what a standard relationship was, where you didn't really have to discuss who was going to wash the dishes, or on what night, or who's going to change the baby's diapers, or are you going to rotate? These things were given, and he's saying that that's no longer the case.
Yeah, no, I see. Now I like what you said right there, and that's why I sometimes don't really have a problem with the whole concept of term negotiation, because like you said, everybody negotiates. A pimp technically negotiates. He's just a shrewd negotiator.
Yeah, exactly.
Who gets a ridiculously good deal in his favor. So it's like everybody at some level is negotiating, but again, that's where the straw man comes in, because then now if you use the word negotiate, now they can say that you're crawling on your knees begging a group of undesirable women, and that's where the straw man comes in. And so
no, Hood has a point, because he's talking about why would you negotiate with somebody with nothing to offer? At that point, listen, if a woman is coming to the table now because she is in complete destitute because of a financial collapse or something like that, then she really at that point don't have anything to negotiate with. And unfortunately, most women, I'm pretty sure that the women that found themselves in your DMs, and they really didn't have much to negotiate with at that point, which is why they got blocked. I mean, of course you were taken, but
they have a damn thing that I wanted.
Exactly. I
didn't want it no more.
Yeah, I don't really care about that. I mean, just for the same reason why I'm not like sleeping with crackheads. Like, hey, I got money for crack, but you have nothing because you are a worn down crack whore. So like what's happening is, and in the scenario that they were describing, is you'll get an influx of women who are completely ungroomed. Like they have spent their entire lives scamming and getting over on a system, and now they come begging because the system that they okay, put it like this: if we have an economic collapse, it's because they destroyed it. And now you want to let the destroyer of the American economy come to your home in exchange for what? What do you have to offer? If you haven't been preparing yourself for your entire life to be a decent wife and mother, you have nothing. You have nothing. You just started when the Dow crashed.
All right. Somebody by the name of Like is saying that BGS said you don't have to negotiate with them. Why you keep skip that part? I didn't skip any part on purpose to try to, create a narrative. I think I've been, pretty fair and charitable in my analysis with this whole thing. I think there's a lot of people that do like to straw man in this conversation. A lot of people do like to, do what they can to try to misrepresent it. I made it a point not to do that. I just explained, exactly where my understanding of it was and where my disagreement and the only thing I really disagree with is that we won't see some type of economic downfall in America that on a mass scale will bring black men. Well, I mean, that's going to bring black men and black women together at a higher percentage rate. Only way that happens is if the culture changes to the point to where the culture and policies would have to change to the point. I think Hood said this to BGS when he was on the show. That a lot of that feminism and socialism and a lot of that stuff that BGS actually said that he don't even necessarily want to get rid of it. Like as long as that's in place, then the table, I'm paraphrasing horribly here, but basically there's somebody else at that table too. It's called the government. And so it's like, what the hell is being negotiated? So yeah.
Can I say something? Hold on. Can I say something? That's my thing, because they trying to use this. First of all, the whole
Bernard, wait a minute. Bernard, BGS told me to my face, men have always negotiated.
Hold on. This the whole thing with me, the whole table conversation it opens up for semantics, because if you ask a female what did they bring to the table, they will say some crazy shit like, oh, I am the table. My thing is this.
That's a different conversation. That's a different conversation though. Asking somebody, what do you bring to the table? That's like, that's deep into the relationship conversation. But I don't know. Right. I'll let you go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, but and then my whole thing is with this quote unquote economic downfall. When have these females not been in an economic downfall? It's not like these women have been doing great without the help of government assistance. So that's why I said this whole conversation about coming to a table, and then the word negotiate, it's the same. Negotiate is synonymous with compromising. So there's the thing about it is people don't like words like negotiation, thing like that. But I mean, you compromise in any relationship that you're in.
Well, yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. I understand the semantics and how some things sound bad, which is why we probably use table in the place of it, or those who are advocates of such a thing, But I mean, nevertheless, I get what they're doing. I just don't think that it would be effective, especially in this whole economic collapse. And to what Like says on the thing, it says don't have says you don't have to have negotiations with them, but he's saying that they're already at the negotiating table. So that's the statement that I was addressing, that they're already at the table. And I'm saying if they are, I don't know or don't care, because that's not really the circumstances under which I want to negotiate with anybody under. It's like you don't have anything at that point. It's like, what are you offering? Like, what do you? You have nothing.
What about the concept that certain people at a certain economic level, and I think this is what he was talking about too, certain people at a certain economic level will ultimately have to work things out due to just mere survival, need to incomes. I think that's part of what he's getting at too, when things change, rather it's the housing crisis, eviction, bubble, or whatever's going on as far as that. I think that's an element and aspect of it too. People at a certain economic level will have to come together and work together and figure things out at the table.
Okay, well, I'll put it like this. A group of people, let's look at this in a collective aspect. A group of people cannot really function if poverty is all that binds them. You know, so because then what you have is what Black people have always had, like, you know, like, hey, you know, right after slavery, you know, Black people have come together and, you know, created these grand societies and stuff, in these strong families. But the moment they got some money and some civil rights, they broke it apart. See, that's what happens when poverty is your bind. And we don't want that, because those binds are temporary, or it requires that your community maintains a perpetual state of poverty in order to sustain itself. Like, are we the people who, when we're not poor, we infight? Because if so, we're doomed. We're doomed to either poverty in order to stay together, or being apart. So we can't really do anything with that. Which is why I wouldn't negotiate with somebody like that, you know.
All right. Now we are joined by BGS. Welcome to the show. You are kind of the one that sparked this conversation. I reacted to the clip that you, I think you dropped that video yesterday. And,
how come people didn't react to Obsidian's clip?
Oh, no, I did. I react. I spent just as much time reacting to what he said, and then I reacted to what you said, because in my view, y'all have two different tables. He's talking about just the broader social media, Black men and Black women having a real conversation.
That's exactly that's what I said. Okay,
right. And but then hold on. But then there is another table that you mentioned in real life, and that when you're talking about economic conditions bringing Black men and Black women back to the table.
The thing is, in fact, I might do this when we talk about marriage. Man, marriage is always a social arrangement by the society to bring men and women together to raise children, right? And and for the vast majority of the world that is in what we call poverty, they do this shit all the time. Why are we different?
Okay, now I did respond to that part, and this is what I threw out there, and I've been kind of pretty consistently saying this, is that no matter how bad the economic conditions get, seemingly in this country, that, you know, the whole concept with the banks too big to fail, women they're too big to fail. They're going to get their yeah, that's a whole nother thing. Black women too big to fail, but no, they're going to get the bailout. You know, so and that's where I'm at. When you say that,
okay. So the thing is, okay, we didn't even talk about marriage, right? Okay, y'all, you niggas are still fucking these bitches, man, and having babies with these bitches, man. You're still fucking with them. If you're not at the table, you say you're not at the table, then stop. For the vast, even in the manosphere, stop fucking them.
No, I said this. I said if you're dealing with women at all. Hold on, wait, real quick. Hold on, time out. Let me say this. I said this. I said, if you're a man and you're dealing with women at all, then that means you do have a table of some sort.
Yes, you do.
Where you worked out a deal of some sort.
Yes.
Now you probably were a shrewd negotiator and getting every goddamn thing you want.
Or you get taken.
Or yeah. So I acknowledge the metaphorical existence of a table, but I, question the whole collective. They're coming back to the table in some macro sense, like we all have some sort of collectivized table that we're putting forth. Okay, go ahead.
That's why because this comes from a freaking 2-minute comment that me and Keep It 100 Marcus had in a I forget I forget what it even was. SB, I forget what the video was, right? Yeah. 2 minutes, and this has gone on for 6 weeks. So Obsidian, I've been saying the same thing. It was supposed to be a conversation, right? I've been saying that from the very beginning. Conversate with these women, find out what they're saying. So you say what you're saying, to exactly find out exactly what these chicks are on. So whether you're gonna take their deal, not take their deal, walk away, and if we finally get some freaking answers instead of this shit going in circular arguments, right? That's what I always wanted, because I've been trying to. I've had like 4 videos over the past 4 years saying the gender war is over, right? And every time these niggas come back and say, no, it's not over. No, it's not over. Okay, at what point was it going to take you to actually get off this shit and move on and actually figure out a different category. Now the deal with the government is a different sort of thing, right? It has nothing to do with it has irregardless of whether you talk to the chick, have sex with a chick, date the chick, whatever, right? The policies in the government is a different thing. That's why I want to move to, right? Instead of this circular social shit. Okay. And so I said that it's supposed to be a conversation, right? And this was part of the Black Manosphere as we set it up back in 2015 from the very beginning. Most people actually skipped that part, right? So when Obsidian came out with that video explaining exactly what I've been saying from the very beginning, what the table is because the table metaphor is his metaphor, right? That I use, that I actually reference, right? And it came out of his mouth. So you know exactly what the table is, what he meant by it, what he's shooting for, and what the whole Black Manosphere was shooting for from the very beginning. It's been explained. So what problem with the definition do you have? Okay, coming from the person's mouth as you defined it.
No, I didn't have that much of a problem with what he said. I mean, if you go back and when you get a chance to watch what I was saying, I didn't make this video to ride or I wasn't trying to ride on you or nothing like that. If you watch it, you can see where I was fair and I just had small subtle disagreements. But far as with hold on, wait, real quick. No, this is one of the questions I had. When Obsidian have been consistently saying, like you pointed out, and I've heard him say it a bunch of times. I mean, Obsidian used to be tight. He used to be on my show every other day, and so he used to say all the time that he wanted to foster a real conversation between Black men and Black women. That's what he meant when coming back to the table. The one question that I had, would you say, because O'Shea and Angry Man and Obsidian are the ones that got together and kind of started the concept of the Black Manosphere. Was that universally consistent across the board? Like they all like Angry Man and O'Shea had the same exact motive.
In other words, basically, which is something that I didn't like. Okay, is that they went O'Shea and especially Obsidian went out of their way to foster this conversation. Sometimes even provoke the conversation. Especially when because I think my famous Kick Rocks video about Cynthia G basically almost killed her YouTube career, right? Okay. O'Shea and Obsidian basically went across the table, drugged her out of the trash to actually foster a conversation. Okay. So this has been their concept from the very beginning. O'Shea is still pro-Black, trying to foster a conversation between Black men and Black women. Okay. He's still that way. Okay, so this has been that way from the very beginning. Even what basically why did Obsidian say he wanted the welfare system and stuff like that to collapse? What was his thing? He says it all the time.
I think his a conservatism in wanting cuts, as he said. He wanted that. I said that in my opening monologue. Obsidian was basically wanting the policy to facilitate the economic calamity that you talk about that's going to bring them back or have brought them back to the table. So that's what Obsidian was on. I acknowledge that.
Wait. Which Obsidian?
Which I forgot which year of Obsidian was saying. I don't know.
As far as welfare goes, as far as welfare goes, wasn't Obsidian the one that says welfare is giving them $75K worth of benefits? Therefore,
no. That actually come. It depends on which issue you actually look at. There's about three or four different surveys. One from Pennsylvania, there's one from Ohio, there's one from Iowa, and there's another one, right, that actually evaluates it. These are not Black people, these are white people, right? That evaluates exactly when you add up all the social benefits that the single mothers get, and it ranges between I think the lowest is 31,000 up to like I think 68,000. I actually did a whole 3 videos on that shit. Okay.
But wasn't he advocating that men make more in order to compete?
No, he wasn't. No, basically.
Oh, what was he doing? What was he saying?
No. Okay. If I can take a minute without being interrupted, can I take a minute and answer the question without being interrupted?
You got to take a minute to ask it.
Okay, go ahead. Ask.
Okay. No, I did ask the question, and you called it an interruption to the question that hadn't yet been asked. But go ahead.
Oh no, if do I understand your question?
Okay, my question is: did Obsidian was he not the one who advocated for men earning more or attempting to out earn the welfare system in order to get bitches that would otherwise be on welfare? That's my question.
No, not to my knowledge.
Hold on, wait.
Maybe Bernard Roddy, but maybe Bernard has a different viewpoint. I
That
never heard that.
Overall, that hasn't been his argument.
Okay.
Okay, but okay, I'll go ahead and say it. In 2022, Obsidian did a massive amount of trying to be nice here.
No.
He did.
I don't know. I didn't hear.
He did in my opinion, he did a massive amount of batting for the other side, and in that time, he was basically I do remember him saying that it makes sense for them to get on welfare. Black men need to step up and make more and out earn whatever they could get from the welfare state. He was on record saying that, but I never heard that. But I mean that version of Obsidian, he's casted that aside, and I think he went back to more or less being the voice of the everyday brother. When I duck in and listen, he's doing he's sounding like more like the older Obsidian mixed with a little splash of new Kevin Samuels stuff, but overall, Obsidian been solid lately. But he had a moment in 2022 where I just used to I used to pull the plug out my damn computer. But anyway,
that part I didn't hear.
But anyway, that was a one-off Obsidian that he was trying to sell out. He was trying to sell out. He just didn't find a buyer. All right.
I mean, maybe he riffed off the stuff that I found, because actually put that out there. And they call it, if you can actually look it up, Google the welfare cliff, right? In other words, at what point would a woman have to forego her social benefits to actually and get a mate? And what would he have to earn for it economically make sense for her? And that's what they call a welfare cliff. There's been like 3 or 4 studies about the welfare cliff. And the first person I ever heard talk about it was actually a white guy called Dalrock. He used to have a manosphere blog, a Red Pill Manosphere blog, and I read that back in 2014 or something like that, 2015. He talked about the welfare cliff, but it's a well-known thing. You can look it up. You can actually Google that. I did like 4 videos on it, right?
Yeah, no, we understand. Yeah, we understand that the phenomenon exists and it's a thing, and it contributes to to many of the social dynamics between black men and black women in relationships. But it's a whole nother thing when it wasn't just acknowledging it went beyond just acknowledging the phenomenon. I'll just say that. But anyway,
what I'm saying is what I said is that he's been talking about cuts so that the men and women could actually have a serious conversation. In other words, what he calls coming back to the table, right? Or we'll come back to the table in a serious way. So I said what I said. If you look at the way things are going, right, with the stagflation, if you look at the what I call the automation cuts, right, which are already happening back in 2017, 2018, right, especially in the service sector, especially as far as pushing paperwork with jobs like medical billing and other kind of stuff, right. It was already starting to happen back then. I said eventually they're going to have to come back and actually negotiate if they want to have a family, or they want to have a guy to actually support them, because that's the way it's always been, right? And so what?
Let him finish. Let him.
Yeah.
So in other words, if you look at the trends, if you look at the economic trends, which I do all the time, that shit's it's already happening, right? That's why they're doing things like basically decriminalizing prostitution. That's a sign, okay, that the government cannot take care of you like you want to anymore, right? You've been having Section 8 cuts even before COVID, right? Section 8 cuts were happening then, right? They're cutting out what they call the food stamps and SNAP programs. All this kind of stuff is being cut because they can't afford it anymore. So those benefits are starting to diminish and go away. So they're gonna have to rely on a different kind of model. And this is not just black women, it's all women. But go ahead.
Okay, so the thing is, BGS, is that if they wanted families and things like that, then they wouldn't have been on welfare and shit like that in the first place. Like the women who will come to the table after, all the careers and all that crap, these are not women that wanted families in the first place. Therefore, it's done. You only negotiate with women who wanted the families to begin with, and so which means that they were the first at the table. They were the first to come to your door, like, hey, you look like a man that could support a family and will be in a family. They don't really need an economic catastrophe to have a relationship discussion. That's why the relationship, the economic catastrophe will just be something that brings along a bunch of stragglers, a bunch of women who really don't have anything to negotiate, not even the desire to raise a family. So I say it's not really going to be in our benefit to, quote unquote, hope for poverty amongst any masses, and hope that poverty don't somehow, affect the men as well.
Hold on, wait. Well, let's just be clear. BGS, are you saying that we should hope for poverty so women can come back to the table?
No, I'm not saying. I've been against that from the very beginning.
Okay,
right?
All right.
Yeah, from the very beginning. But thing is that content creators get all this shit all the time about different varying factions about what they fucking want, right? All the time, right? And there's been a whole bunch of guys, a whole bunch of my subs that say the same shit. Right? They want cuts. They want women to come back to the table. They want
cuts.
Yeah, they want women to come back and negotiate, right? So they want this stuff. So because women will be more humble and have to actually offer a better deal, or whatever they want. And the thing is like 90% or say 85% of guys are on that level that will take these women back. That they actually do want this. They will take the stragglers and will take the women that are suffering. They will. I talk to them all the time. The guys that will earn like 90, like the upwards of $60,000 above, they might be on a different level. But those are like 20% of the guys.
Now, you know what? And right before you came up, I was actually saying that there's a certain, economic class or level where, if the math ain't mathing and two people, you need two incomes, and the two people, they will come together, or so you can give a macro analysis and say that this is what's going to end up happening. But when this is where I got to defend the space against the straw mans all the time, they say that you niggas are a bunch of incels praying for women to fall off, just sitting back waiting on women to fall off so y'all can finally get y'all dick wet. Like that turns into the straw man argument that they try to hit the space with. But you can't step back and give a macro analysis and say that that shit could possibly. My argument is that the government gonna figure, if there's a will, there's a way. They'll figure out how to bail these women out. But it is possible that shit could change and shit could fall off to the point to where people at a certain lower economic class may have to come together and figure it out. Even if they in there fighting and killing each other. Wait, real quick. Even if they in there fighting and killing each other, they gonna have to come together and figure that shit out because they poor and they gotta.
In other words, did they figure it out during the Great Depression?
I don't know.
Did they figure what happened to the women that during the Great Depression?
I assume they got with a man and rubbed two nickels together.
That could happen again.
Yeah.
During the Great Recession, okay.
And once again,
during the Great Recession, it took trillions of dollars to actually bail these people out, right? They don't have it anymore. At some point, the credit card runs out. Credit card's running out.
So that thinking is
Bernard, prove me wrong.
I know I can't prove. Hold on, real quick, GC. Just one thing. I can't prove you wrong, BGS. But one thing that I do know is that they always, some way, somehow manage to pull the money out their ass to bail out people.
No, they don't. At some point, there's no more money to pull out, and they're at that point. That's why they're criminalizing prostitution. Okay, this is why we have white women selling ass in broad daylight in New York. Okay, it's already happening.
So, no, I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is, should we? I mean, look at the thinking behind this. You talk about the Depression. So prior to the Depression, there was the Roaring '20s, and yes, the women did, change their behavior extraordinarily. From the Great Gatsby, flapper parties to the Great Depression women. Granted, Do you want that? Do you want a woman who would be a flapper as long as the economy is bad? I mean, like, come on, let's be realistic. We should not repeat the mistakes of the past. Listen,
we always do. We're doing it right now.
yeah, I know. I'm saying
you,
we should not repeat the mistakes of the past.
I was telling Gabe a couple of days ago, the world does not run on should. Okay, does not run on should. I quote the facts. If you disagree with my analysis, prove me wrong.
Okay, so a man should behave in this way. You should require that a woman have the same desire to make a family that you are. And I'm not talking about this should be a collective negotiation that all men, get together at the same table to negotiate with all women. No, individually, this is your negotiation. And the fact that she is at the table with you means that, you have that. You have family or fatherly qualities to provide to her if she has that desire. If she don't, and she just wants a bag or something like that, or she just wants some weed, or she just wants this, and this, then, you are having a completely different discussion with that particular woman. So, I say to men, be shrewd negotiators, but understand, that part of what you're negotiating is her long-term intentions.
And man, I have so many guys, man. If you go back and look and listen to those tapes, because a lot of this shit is still up, man. Go back and listen to all those guys that cheered for cuts, that cheered for welfare cuts, that cheered for economic catastrophe, so these women, these bitches would actually be humbled, man. I've heard that so many times I got sick of it, right? In other words, what I said is that in fact, I want to find that video. I said the women will come back to the table. When they come back, what are you going to ask for? What do you want? Because you never said exactly what you wanted. Now they're already here. Now people are actually balking about what they really want. Okay, so many people wanted these chicks to actually be humbled and be brought low economically. And now that it's happening, now it's well, how come she didn't do it before? Okay, well, you didn't say that 4 or 5 years ago. Okay,
I got
you didn't say that.
Actually, they did. They did say,
no, they didn't.
No,
Not the guy.
Excuse me. I do know a prominent YouTuber who said after the cuts,
like who?
Then they would have to bend over my couch. He said,
"Yeah."
I'm not going to say names, but I will.
We know who bent over the couch is.
Okay, so yeah, there you have it. So there are a group of people there existed people 5 years ago who wanted a quote unquote depression-like scenario in order to bend women over their couch.
Yes. Bunch of them.
I do not want a global economic catastrophe that only a world war can get us out of, so I can have something to bend over my couch. I don't.
Neither do I. But the thing is, that's
okay. But I'm saying there exist those that do.
Game changer. I'm showing that's where the discussion came from. Okay, that's what I was trying to demonstrate. Okay, it wasn't my idea. But that's where it came from. Out of the guy's, out of the man's mouth. Stop blaming me for this shit. Okay.
I'm not. I'm
not talking about you. I'm talking about the people out there that's trying to blame me for this shit. I never said that.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, here, let me make this point clear right quick, Bernard. BGS. If you believe that I'm coming at you, I'm not.
Okay.
The only thing I have like a slight disagreement with is if you believe that there's any positive in an economic catastrophe and the women that will result from an economic catastrophe. That's all. And I don't think that you do. So we agree to agree.
You know what I said, and I said this to Obsidian. I said to all these guys cheering for this shit, man. I said when they come back to the table and under those circumstances, you're not gonna want to see it. It's not what you want to see. It's not how you think it's gonna be. Under those conditions, you're not actually going to want to see this shit. So stop praying for stuff that you really don't want to see. I said that a long time ago.
Yeah, well, let me ask you this question, BGS. When you're talking about, they're already back to the table because the straw man that everybody got against you, BGS, he trying to beg women, trying to beg them to come back to the table. I said no. He's saying that they're already there. Other than like I named a couple personal anecdotes where I don't even want to get into that. But other than personal anecdotes, like what evidence that that they're actually already there?
Okay, just on social media alone, right? Why you think the purple pill space popped up? Why do you think Kevin was so popular during COVID? Why do you think he was so popular with the women coming to his channel? Right? They're looking for a husband to bail them out.
Mm-hmm.
That's them coming back to the table to negotiate. They're looking for. I told Kevin they're gonna start here because you have the high value man concept. The guys making over 100K. They're gonna start there.
Then they're gonna work their way down. They're gonna work their way down to the bus
And
driver.
Basically to the Uber driver. Okay, it's gonna take time, but the thing is, they're gonna work their way down. That's the metaphorical table. That's the demonstration of the table itself. Accept it or not. Okay, you don't have to accept it. I just give my viewpoint.
I get what you're saying. I disagree, and I made a video about this years ago with Rest in Peace, because that was something that I disagree with Kevin Samuels on.
Hold on, wait, Game Changer. Could you hold your thought for a half second? Because Edward Anderson, my first time speaking to you, man. Giving my sincere condolences. It was my first time seeing you back in the chat room. Glad you're back.
Oh, condolences.
Well, his mother. His mother passed away.
Yeah,
so give
him my. That's what light skinned nigga. I mean, let's get this. You okay?
Mine too.
Oh wait, hold on, wait. I'm trying to give condolences to his mother. You gonna respond to the light skinned?
Yeah.
No, but let me
put it out there.
Hey, Edward Anderson, my condolences as well.
Yeah, welcome back. Welcome back, brother. Yeah, you've been away for a minute. Welcome back.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, man. The thing is, I'm tired of. Basically, the reason I put the people to actually be clear about at least the definition of what the table was, where it came about, all this kind of stuff, instead of us making up stuff. Okay, it's clear about what he said, right? He's very clear about that.
Yeah, and I tried to parse it out just right, and what Obsidian meant by it. I did question whether or not Angry Man and O'Shea was on the same exact thing, but I think you made a good point to show good evidence that O'Shea was on the same exact thing. I don't know if Angry Man was completely on that, but one thing that people can't deny, and I hate that people are trying to deny it, that men basically breaking down the social dynamics between black men and black women and giving basically a counterpunch to all of the female propaganda that been out there against black men is like, that's what the space was about from the start.
Yes.
Whether or not it was going to, bring them to the table to have a discussion, debate, or argument or whatever. I know for a fact Obsidian definitely wanted that. So that part of it, not that much disagreement with that. The only area, and you parsed it out, and I think I understand where you're coming from. That economic downfall or whatever is going to cause men and women at a certain economic level to have to come together. I think there's some truth in that. I'm just skeptical that the government don't want to let women fall flat on their face.
Okay.
We'll see.
Let me ask you guys this, okay? If according to whatever evidence you want, what evidence do you actually need to see? What do you need to see? That's what I'm asking, because I don't know. I'm curious. What do you need?
What do I need to see as far as what?
As far as them back of the table, metaphorical table. What do you need to see?
Okay, I'll let you know. I would like to see a lot more couples, black couples, where the woman is significantly more attractive than the man. I would like to see the obesity rate drop significantly amongst Black American women. I would like to see more real haired women, because these are signs that they are improving themselves to meet the increased male standard. So this would be evidence of that. And they would be doing so in order to, get with guys who can offer similar support or, average support. So, yeah, I would like to see those. That would be a significant indicator of a societal change that they are negotiating. That is how a woman negotiates. She negotiates first by her beauty. That is why you have passport bros who go to countries where women work out every damn day. Oh, that's another thing. I would like to go to a strip mall where there is a 24-hour fitness and a Kentucky Fried Chicken, and there are more Black women in the 24-hour fitness than in the Kentucky Fried Chicken. I would like this. That would be an indicator. That would be that they are negotiating.
Okay, so in other words, that's a broad social change, right? That's beyond the negotiation. That's actually when you actually sign an agreement change. Okay, that's not a negotiation change.
Well, no, they're preparing to negotiate. They
No,
are
no.
gathering resources to bring to the negotiating table. So kind of like an interview. Let's just say an interview ends
Okay.
with a real quick. An interview ends with a salary negotiation or a contract negotiation. It ends with that. Before that is the individual preparing him or herself for that interview. They go to this school. They get these grades. They develop this skill set. They do this, and then they appear in front of the interviewer and say, "I want this." That is so. I don't see them preparing, and poverty is not making them do that.
Okay, so that's your definition of it. Okay, Bernard, what do you want to say? I don't care who will talk. So I'm just asking.
My whole thing is I don't think that it's gonna ever show it's never gonna be seen that they're quote unquote coming back to the table or anything, because their actions and the way that they move is now public.
And that's how okay, how is that? Explain that.
Basically their behaviors are now
what kind of behavior? You got to explain the behavior. What
behaviors basically the whole feminist movement of liberation of owning their
you got to give me something concrete. Okay, those are terms. Something concrete. What do you want to see?
I'm trying to explain to you. My thing is the behaviors that they put out there, seeing that they know that they have options, knowing that they can still do what they want to do without any true repercussions because they're still going to be accepted somewhere. That's why I said the behavior is socially out there now to the point where this is how we are. You're going to accept what we're bringing.
Okay.
So I don't think it would ever be like that, even with an economic downfall, even if they was to make cuts to government sponsored programs, because they're just going to still put out there that I can still get this and get that. So that's why I say it would never be. I don't see them coming back to any type of table to negotiate.
So what happens if they couldn't get this and couldn't get that? Because that's on the men, right? So basically, if the men are accepting of it, right, the terms that they put out, the men accept it. Okay, is it all them or is it on us too?
It's still on the individual. It's still on the individual.
As a group, I'm talking about as a group, because if they're doing it as a group and they're getting accepted as a group, men have to accept them as a group, right? It has to be.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that would be true, because like as you see, most of the backlash that comes to the any type of manosphere, black manosphere or the regular manosphere, whatever, it's about why are you complaining about what they're doing. So that's why I said it's not about them coming. They're not coming back to any type of table. What they're basically saying is we're doing it this way now, and if you want to have anything to do with us, then you will either accept that or you would quote unquote go your own way, or you would be labeled as an incel.
So what labeled as an incel? We'll get to the incel shit. But are men still accepting the terms that they're putting out?
I believe so.
So in other words, it's not just on them, right? So basically, they're saying these are our terms. Okay, we're at the table. These are our terms. If you want this, you have to do that, right? And the men are saying what?
That's the thing. They're not at a table. They what they've done is they've put their behavior and they've made it socialized so that it is deemed acceptable in social in the social lens.
Can you translate for me, Bernard?
I don't know exactly what he's trying to say.
What I'm basically saying is the characteristics in what they're doing now, the way that they're moving, what people call modern women.
Okay, I think I got it. But basically, what he's saying, these hoes ain't changed yet, and it may very well be some truth to that. I think, but
what I'm saying is what he's saying. This is what I'm hearing. I mean, I could be wrong, right? In other words, okay. Say you come to a table to negotiate, right? And the bitches are saying, this is how I act, this is what I'm on, and I have pussy, okay? And if you want this pussy, this is what you're gonna have to do. You have to accept me how I am and do these things for me to get it, right? And the vast majority of the guys are actually doing what? Are they turning it away, or they walk away from it, or what?
fair enough. I think most guys in reality, even though we advocate for them not to do that, but I think most guys in reality on the ground are taking the deal that they can get. Going back to what Game Changer is explaining, that the women are showing up to the negotiating table fat, overweight,
yes,
with other people's kids,
with
all of that shit. And yeah, we advocate for men not to accept that deal.
Yes.
No. Here's I'm advocating for men to be like, if you're equally fucked up man, then by all means take that deal. However,
which the vast majority of guys are equally fucked up. It's called equally yoked, right?
What the fuck? No.
Yes, they are.
I wish Michael B. Jordan was as fucked up as me.
Yes,
I wish I was as fucked up as him. Let's be clear: all men are not equally valued in the sexual marketplace.
I didn't say that.
However, if you are a man of very diminished value, and you come across a woman with very diminished value, then yes, you take that deal.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is, you have men of higher value, of significantly higher value than the women that they are dating right now in the sexual marketplace.
So why are they dating them? Why are they dating them?
I'm about to explain. The reason that they are doing this is for one, women are negotiating as a collective, and for two, the men. How can I say this? The men are not taught to have standards. Black men are not taught to have standards.
Okay.
I am an advocate, and I have been since the beginning, since you and I got into it the first time. I have been from the beginning of Black men get some damn standards. We had the biggest dick in the world, and we should not be giving it up to these low level bitches. I'm sorry.
Guess why Kevin was actually brought into the whole phase? I actually brought him in so that guys that do have this kind of standing can get a standard, right?
I agree with Kevin Samuels because he has standards. And you see, here's the thing. He has standards, and the women came to him. He didn't go to the women like, hey, what do I have to do for that pussy? The women came to him and say, what do I have to do for that penis?
In other words, he laid out a table, and guess who came, right? They came to where? He laid out a table. What did they do? They came to the table, right?
Did they? They came making demands. Granted,
it doesn't matter. They came,
but okay, and that's an individual thing. They came saying like, "This is what I want," and Kevin Samuels was like, "Okay, this is what these particular type of
it's a negotiation, right?
Right quick. This is what these particular type of men want." Granted, he was not putting himself in that category, trying to get everybody else to do it. They were asking the question of, what do I have to do? And there is nothing wrong. Listen, if a woman is saying, what do I have to do? And you are telling them individually what she has to do to qualify for your penis, there is nothing wrong with that. There is something wrong there. Well, right quick. There is something wrong with it if she is making demands and she's bringing her low value vagina. And you're like, okay, what do I have to do to get that low value vagina? And unfortunately, that is what so many different dudes are doing in this space. Like there's these two chitlin chicks, right? Look like they stir chitlins and shit, right? They got all kind of kids and fat and wigs and they're married and shit. And you got dudes that just line up trying to convince them, like, okay, what can you do to behave? Now, I want you to look at my pattern of behavior, right? If you ain't fucking pick-me's, you ain't fucking shit. Like the women I speak to, like Danica, Chantel, Melody, these are chicks that are already reasonably in line. Why are you dealing with out of line bitches?
Okay. Okay, let me know when you finish. I don't know exactly when you made your point.
Okay, 1, 2, period. Go for it.
Okay. In other words, what you just said about them coming offering what they had, and that's how they qualify for a guy, sounds like a negotiation to me. That's what it sounds like.
Okay.
Does it not sound like that?
I don't think that's a negotiation. I think that they're basically just explaining what they want. I don't think it's a negotiation. To negotiate,
That's
With
where it
me,
gets
with,
into the semantics. That's when we get into the
Yeah,
semantics. I mean,
I'll call it a
it could
negotiation.
be a pimp negotiates. He's just a shrewd negotiator. He get every goddamn thing he want out of that chick. So
I'll
it is a
call it a
negotiation.
negotiation.
Hold on,
I'll call it a negotiation.
hold on. A woman comes to the table. I want a high value man, right? Okay, this is what I have, right? Kevin says to actually qualify for this guy, this is what you gotta have. Okay, that's a negotiation, is it not?
Yeah,
I think that's a consultation. I don't think that's a negotiation.
I'll call it a
All
negotiation. Go
okay,
for it.
all right, I'm done. I'm done.
No. I won't play semantics. I'm
done.
BGS.
I'm done.
Between you and I'll call that a negotiation.
It's simple, man. It's too simple.
I know. I get what you're saying. I accept that it's a negotiation.
Yeah,
people use it as an insult because, okay, if a man is negotiating, then he's putting himself he's putting himself in a position where he's going to compromise what it is that he wants. I think you can negotiate and be a shrewd negotiator and get whatever it is that you want. And if you don't get what you want from that individual woman, if she ain't willing to do it, then bye. She's gone. So yeah, I think that's how most people advocate how men ought to be moving. So yeah, that's fine. Kevin Samuels did. They read like exit interviews more than a negotiation.
One thing, they show up. I show up. What do you have? I want this kind of guy. Okay, how much should he make? You want children? How many? Size, weight, dress size. How do you rate yourself? Fresh face out of the shower, right?
Right.
These are the metrics, right? Okay. Well, now what do you want? Okay, you don't qualify for that guy. Negotiate with a lower level guy. Okay.
But they don't.
Those are negotiations, right?
But they don't.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I agree. What Kevin Samuels was doing was negotiation. And what the women are doing, and this is why I'm telling dudes to be more like Kevin Samuels, like shrewd negotiators, because what the women were doing, average at best, they were negotiating up. They were starting up. And he tried to convince her to stay more reasonable within her lane, and she didn't. Yeah. So and that is what Obsidian's negotiation tactic is. Just trying to get women like that who want to get with the Kevin Samuels to get with the guy. And this is what I was talking about when I said that he's negotiating with Kevin Samuels' dick. Because you have to have something that the women want. And you have to have something to offer them to negotiate with. He's trying to get them to negotiate for men that don't have the shit that women want.
Okay. In other words, what I'm saying is you ask for an indicator that they're not all the way back at the table, but what? Coming back to the table. You just identified a metric, did you not?
Well, my metric was that they are preparing for negotiations. That's not even something that was shown with the Kevin Samuels, repetition.
When you just said that was a negotiation, did you not?
Yeah, it is a negotiation.
Thank you. So that's all.
But when you ask me what my indicator is,
what I'm saying is,
okay. Well, let's put it like this.
Hold on. You just admitted that's a negotiation, right?
It is a negotiation. Yes.
That's an indicator of them coming back to the table. You just
okay. Let's put it like this.
Okay,
it's not an indicator of blanket negotiation. It's not an indicator of blanket.
I didn't say blanket.
Jesus Christ. Okay, it's not an indicator that they are negotiating with men. They are negotiating with high value men, and they always have been. Okay, what? They're not negotiating with the guy who is a bus driver. They're negotiating with the high value man. And yes, that is an indicator that they are doing what they already have been doing. How can I, a person with an average pussy, get an exceptional dick? That is what they always have been doing. That's why groupies exist. Okay. That is why, that regular chick, negotiated with Derek Jackson, and she was like, okay, I'll be a part of your rotation for. They have always been doing that, sir. That is not the type of negotiation that they are.
All right. I'm done.
Okay, good.
I'm mute.
Okay. That is not the type.
Well, I'm almost about to wrap it up. I do want to see what the Hood Conservative got to say. I actually think this has been a productive conversation, in my opinion. But Hood Conservative, go ahead. What you got on this before we get up out of here? Oh, goddamn, Hood Conservative, really?
Now you know it always takes me a second. No, again, and I'm with Game Changer on this. I think the use of the word negotiation in this context is misleading, and it's kind of a false concept. BGS, basically, you're describing the vetting process. That is what dating is. Dating in and of itself is not a negotiation. I'm going to do this and you're going to do that. You're actually observing the other person to see how likely they are to do these things, right? You're trying to see whether or not they will do these things. It's never a verbal open negotiation of I'll do this versus you'll do that. So I just take away, I don't see the whole thing as working that way. And then frankly, unless women are talking about negotiating away feminism, are you going to negotiate your dominance over the courts? Yeah, I don't think that's what they're talking about. You're going to con guys into, thinking that they love you again. That's what this negotiation is all going to boil down to. You guys just pretend that the women love you again, and we can start this whole ball of wax over. That's all that's happening here. Are they really going to negotiate away power? When in the history of power have they negotiated it away? Who has ever had the upper hand and given it away on a song and a dance? And you as men, what do we have to force them to give up their power? This is stupid if you're not really going to talk about these things seriously, but I'm done. You guys have fun with this.
Yeah. And to be fair, I don't think when you okay, I gotta back up and make sure I understand what you're saying. The feminism aspect of it, put it like this. I don't think BGS is saying the women are back at the table, therefore go sign a legally binding document, aka a marriage, to these out of pocket women who was forced to come back to the table because they got evicted. I don't think that's his argument. So I think I asked him enough questions to where I think I gathered from him that he's just describing the condition, and then people are accusing him of begging women to come back to the table or something like that. But he's describing the conditions that's bringing them back to the table.
Well, remember, BGS, I think this was on the panel. I think this might have been on your panel, Bernard. BGS and I had this conversation, and he told me flat out, men have always negotiated with women. My position is antithetical to that. Men have never negotiated with women. So you're only saying this from the modern context. There is no negotiation. Either men reset the terms or we stay like this until the thing falls apart. But there will be no negotiations.
So, I mean, once again, when BGS brought up the Kevin example, he did speak on like somehow this will trickle down. Like he did say, okay, all these women that are asking for high value men, eventually they will start asking for the Uber drivers. I'm like, wait, huh? How? Guy? Because these are women who already have access to the Uber drivers, and they're asking for high value men. I don't see it moving from there. Average women asking for exceptional men is not really it's not even a negotiation that a person would pay attention to. If it was presented to you. If you are an exceptional man, like a woman in a crowd screaming Michael B. Jordan's, and she's average, he don't even notice it. So it's not really, I guess the negotiation exists, but is that really a negotiation? Like, I mean, is that a negotiation that people want to have? You see, let's not look at these things as progress. He asked me to describe a situation that I feel would be progress, and I did, and this is not that.
I think you're saying that they're at the table, they're negotiating. they're at the table, but they're offering a bad deal. In other words, in short, that's what you're saying. They're at the table, they're offering a bad deal, and the answer should be no.
And bad deals can be ignored. Like bad deals can easily be ignored. I mean, like that's not progress. Bad deals are always on the table. Like Like when Lizzo went after Captain America, did Captain America say, "Ooh, look, they're negotiating"? And you want to know why he didn't say, "Oh, well, at least they're negotiating"? Because he's actually used to speaking to women. He's actually used to the company of women. When you have bad offers, you tend to ignore it. Like only a person with no offers even look at a bad offer and say, "Oh, well, at least they're offering." It's like, come on now. Like, is that where we as black men are at, getting excited over lopsided arguments? And like you were saying, at least they have a pussy. Like now you have access to their pussy. Listen, I'm be honest, especially to you black women, I do not want most of y'all pussy. I don't. So don't try to negotiate with me with that, because you don't get shit. Because you don't give shit. You think I enjoy your ratty pussy more than I enjoy rigorous masturbation? You are out your fucking mind. And I'm always
Salty balls in the building with $10 super chat. Shout out to you. Do appreciate you coming through with the $10 super chat. Also, shout out to Salty Balls once again. Says, what does he say? Excuse me. Dying drag my. When he said dying drag my saltiest, briniest, and greasiest balls on the table. So the table that they're negotiating at, Salty Balls is dragging his balls on that table. That's pretty much what he's saying there. So shout out to Salty Balls. Do appreciate that.
Suck on my chocolate salty balls. Put them in your mouth. Put them in your mouth and suck them and suck them.
Shout out to Kenneth Williams in the building. Shout out to Kenneth Williams in the building with the $5 super sticker. Do appreciate that. And also shout out to who else we got in here? Cafe Es Bueno in here with the $4 super chat. I do appreciate that. All right.
Well, I mean, so Freeman Journal. Well, let me just say this. I know you want to leave, but let me just say this. Freeman Journal was like Black Men with Agency, talking about coming back to the table because, exactly. Especially since.
Hold on, what is he saying? Only black male agency have a problem with the coming back to the table because they know it's some BS. Oh, so he's saying black men who are bigger proponents of black male agency got criticism of the coming back to the table discussion. Is that more or less what he's saying?
Yeah, that's what I deem from that.
Okay.
It's largely part of of individual agencies, but I mean it's also like a person who has individual values. First of all, nobody, not one. How many people in here? 300. Not one of you niggas I trust to negotiate for my dick. That is for damn sure. I see the negotiation skills that y'all present. Y'all be walking around all fatted and tatted with bitches with kids and shit like that, even though you ain't got none. Talking about I gotta earn extra to compete with welfare. Y'all don't know how to negotiate shit at all. Period. Not one of you is gonna negotiate for my dick. That's for damn sure. So we could start right there. We could nip that in the bud, because having somebody else negotiate for you, you'll wind up with some fucking wrinkled old bag of a bitch that's hella fat and shit talking about she'll have a salad. Fuck that.
All right.
Fuck.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Just responding or just commenting on what the fuck? Just responding. I mean, commenting on what Freeman's Journal, what Freeman's Journal said about that agency. I think more of what the response is, or the people having such a seemingly negative response to the whole back to the table thing is two reasons, and there's two different camps. There's a straw man camp and there's a legitimate camp. The straw man camp is saying these dudes, they begging women to come back to the table They some incels. They just begging, please, Keisha, just come back to the table. That's the straw man camp. I think the legitimate camp is more so along the lines of there's a lack of evidence. You kind of spoke on this. There's a lack of evidence that there's any massive change in the behavior of women, and there's a lack of evidence when it comes to a lot of that stuff. There is evidence that the conversation has changed, and that's the part of it at the beginning of the show that I accepted, that the broader conversation that's on a broad satellite that's happening everywhere on the internet, it's lots of evidence that there's a change in just the overall conversation. Women can't even talk about this shit without sounding stupid, because a lot of their bullshit have been just dunked on, refuted, disputed, and cast away. So they can go into their little pockets of echo chambers and just say crazy shit. But if they channel get a little broader, they got to contend with a lot of the stuff that we say, and they start sounding stupid. So in that sense, the conversation has changed to where the manosphere discussion is everywhere now. So in that sense, yeah, if you're talking about a real conversation taking place, I do believe that has happened. If you're talking about the whole, economic calamity causing women to come back to a table in real life, the evidence for that is not strong.
Well, you watch more Kevin Samuels,
and I will say that if you're a man who's already dealing with women, they're already at your individual table, and what are you doing in your dealing with them? That's pretty much, so that's pretty much where I'm at with it, and that's why I say I never really fully understood it, and I do reaching across the aisle, I do understand that if shit economically get messed up, there's a such thing as two broke people who ain't got that much going probably need to get together and try not to kill each other in order to survive. If that means black men and black women coming back together, getting at the table, then at some lower economic level, then maybe, who knows, whatever. So, but anyway, I'll leave that conversation there, and I'll bury the table conversation. And I don't really got that much to, I don't got that much to say about it. But go ahead.
No, I was gonna ask, the women that called Kevin Samuels, were they suffering from an economic calamity?
Well, that's what BGS. That's what BGS would argue that was, he blew up post pandemic. Mm-hmm. So that's what he would argue, that they were in a condition where they realized they didn't have a man, and the man would be nice. Let's figure out what men actually want besides just just hooking up with dudes, just fucking them. Let's see what they actually want, if we want an actual real situation, and so forth and so on. That would be the argument. I don't know.
It seems like they were looking to up their lifestyle, not sustain one. Like, because they weren't asking for a man, they were asking for a high value man. Mm-hmm. So it's one thing which is something that a woman wants.
Yeah, well, that's what he said. They started high with the negotiations. See, they're good negotiators.
And they stayed there.
They start high.
Well, and they stayed there. They didn't lower. Here we are 3 years after the pandemic, and you have the woman saying, "I can't date a bus driver unless he owns the bus." So it's not like they're just asking for the same thing that they already wanted. It's like a homeless person saying, "I will only take a job that paid $250K." And they're staying homeless until that happens. And you're saying like, "Oh yeah, well, wait till winter, and then they're going to take this job at Walmart," and they still don't. Like, this is not progress.
Yeah, no. Kevin Samuels was trying to. He was trying to talk them down from the ledge. I'll say that. He was. Well, no, put it like this. Hold on, wait. Well, no, he was giving them the accurate picture of reality of where they're really at and where they really rank and what they should really accept. Whether or not they were accepting it, that's a whole nother thing. But so that part of it, it was, that's what was happening. But I look at the overall greater net of what he did is that he made the ideas, concepts of the black manosphere go mainstream, and now they everywhere. So that part of it was beneficial. But whether or not the women truly in their heart of hearts changed, that was you know, I don't know. The conversation has changed. We can say that much. We definitely
Lizzo
can say
has
that much.
always went after Chris Evans. Like, you know, he just you know, showed it out, and he drew a hard line, and he said the things that Chris Evans, you know, was thinking when stuff like that happens. It's the same thing that you think when a subpar woman comes your way, you know, saying stuff like that. You're too polite to say it, but Kevin Samuels was the one to say, listen, you're subpar. If you want this type of man, get on par, or get with a man that's on par with you. That is something that they continue.
What you mean I'm too polite to say it? That was weird.
Well, okay. Well, that's you. I'm too polite to say it. What I say is game changer behind the safety of a chess piece, I don't say to regular women. I don't say, you know, you too damn fat. You know, to
okay, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I don't walk up to women on the street saying you're too damn fat.
No, but when
if I'm in a debate with a chick and she says some bullshit, I'm going to use every tool to refute her bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I mean, there are women who've come my way, and you know, who say stuff like, you know, guys like you, you know, they only want white women, et cetera, et cetera. You know, they bring up this argument, and you know, I say, oh yeah, well, that's too bad. But the truth of the matter is, they're not kicking Megan Good out their bed. It's just that you too damn fat. You know, like I don't say it, but Kevin Samuels do. He, you know, I don't, and maybe I should. I don't walk around saying to chicks, you know, what's your dress size on a scale from 1 to 10, 7 not included. You know, perhaps I should have been, but I don't. You know, I continue to, you know, allow them to eat cereal. I do.
All right.
Welcome to Machismo TV, the ultimate destination for modern men seeking to upgrade their lifestyle. Subscribe to Machismo TV and Saul T-Balls. We stream daily from 12 midnight to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the best male-centric content. Highlight reels without reviewing or providing any editorial bias to the content. We have done so much, with so little for so long, we are now qualified to do anything, with nothing.
All right, we about to get up out of here. Like I said, I think it was a productive conversation. I tried, you know, hard not to, you know, I didn't want to misrepresent anybody in the conversation, and I'm glad BGS did come up to speak his piece. I do understand his position with some disagreements on some things, but either way it go, y'all saw the ad right there. Make sure you go and subscribe to Machismo TV. I was actually watching it last night. He was running clips of Ed and Grinch and some stuff I haven't heard. They run a lot of clips. Just nonstop Manosphere highlight clips. So make sure you go and subscribe to that. Check it out. It's good stuff. But go ahead.
If you're not willing to walk away, and this is on your individual tables, if you are not willing to walk away from something that they put on the table, then you already lost. You are the worst negotiator ever. If you are not willing to walk away from whatever they put on the table, whether it's, you know, a smelly pussy or some crap like that. Like if you are not willing to walk away, then you have no business negotiating.
Right on.
Okay.
Right on. I got to get up out of there. I don't know if any Lil Big Nate clips is on there. They probably, hey, never know. I ain't hear no Lil Big Nate on there. But definitely go check out Machismo TV. Go and subscribe to Machismo TV. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of here. Peace. We gone.